Mama said, don't give up. It's a little complicated. Mama said, don't give up. I don't know any of the words to this song, but you gotta get high to have hope for a living. If you don't get high, you have no hope in heaven. Even people looking down upon us get high, not just literally, but figuratively in heaven. Got to have high, 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 high hopes. High hopes. Thirst for Truth, Psych It Starter, James, what's up? Solo, yak, 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 arm fisherman, arm fisherman, solo, yak. What's up, Florida audits? What's up? I know I met you in Clearwater. Josh, what's up? William, what's up? Gabeski, what's up, Gabeski? Mac, what's up, Mac? All right, it's gonna be long, and I'm gonna set this video to 1.5 speed. If you don't like it, you could slow it down on your end, but then I'm going to sound like this, and the video is going to sound normal, but then I'm going to sound like this. But if you leave it my way, the video is going to sound like this, and I'm going to sound like this. James McClinnis is a pimp. We throw that in there. You got to have high, 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 high hopes. What up, Jason D from Minnesota? What's up, Fitzcam? Greetings, John. This is awesome, dude. Who destroyed the boomer? Yes, that's the guy. Mike Taylor News. What's that? Is that an affiliate there, Solo Yak? All right. This guy went to a campground with his fiance slash wife. I guess they were on their honeymoon. So they were planning on doing a lot of banging and having fun that weekend. So they go to a campground because I guess that's what they're into. They park in a space that was reserved. They didn't realize it was reserved. Here comes the camp janitor. He's got something to say about it. He tells him, I got to go get my wife if you need me to move. In the meantime, or beforehand, he talked to the owner, talked to the guy who had the parking space leased, and I believe they had a conversation. Everything was fine. But of course, the janitor got his panties in a bunch because he was given a uniform. And for some reason, when anybody gets a uniform, it seems like even the most objective person, it just seems like they change. Something changes. They've crossed some type of threshold of power. And it's all in your head, dude. That's the problem because he literally is the janitor there. So he comes back 40 minutes later or so. And I'm just summarizing, dude. I could have my orders mixed up. And I believe the dog went running towards him. He pulls out his pepper spray or mace. This guy you're gonna see here with the MAGA hat is the guy. He tells the dog to stop. The dog stops. Janitor calls the cops saying he's attacked over and over again. When he was pressed on it in my last live stream, if you want to watch it, he was saying the word attack was a figure of speech because he got caught several times in the testimony saying it ran towards me and attacked me. And the guy just like, do you know what attack means? Are you using the same dictionary as us? Anyway, go watch that. So now this is the cop. He's going to cross-examine the cop here. The cop came after being told the dog attacked the janitor, still walked right up into the scene. And his solution was if he got on the property and the dog did something, he'd just shoot the dog in the head. Ends up pulling the dog, jumps up the window of the car, barks. He immediately draws on the dog. Then he just decides that to arrest him for nothing. And from what I understand, neither the janitor nor this cop had jurisdiction in this public land that belonged to the Forest Service. Here's the cross-examination of this cop. It's going to be a 1.5 speed. Hi, Hidden Numismatist. What's up, bro? Ex-bootlegger, what's up? If you don't want to hear me, videos in the description. In the meantime, let's do this. And let's watch this. I'm gonna be pausing from time to time, but it's pretty self-explanatory. This guy is great.
About 1:11 p.m. on Tuesday, September 12th, 2023.
Please tell me you guys can hear everything okay. Just put yes in the thing.
We're doing a pretrial interview with Douglas Downing in State of New Mexico versus Lane Myers. Cause number M191MR 2023-44. M191MR 2023.
Thanks, Bry. Sci-fi Bry.
00044. On the video, it is myself, Kent Walquist, with the District Attorney's Office. We have Lane Myers on the recording, on the video, and we also have Douglas Downing.
Wait, this isn't the cop? Wrong video.
Of everything that you're trained in the academy?
Yes.
So somebody like me.
Wait, is that the video?
Did you testify at the beginning of this that you swore an oath to uphold civil rights?
I'm so confused. Does anyone have a link to that video? The actual video? It was sent to me on my phone. Let me stop sharing my screen here before you guys see all the things I'm into. All right, his name is Slim Shady. So come and kill me while my name's hot. Shoot me 25 times in the safe spot. This says full video off of James Freeman's here. Full video.
Recording. It is about 1:11 p.m. on Tuesday.
Douglas Downey. No, I don't want Douglas Downey. I want the cop. I'm confused. I'm dazed and confused. For so long, it's not true. All right, I'm just going to play Freeman's. But the link in the description is Lane Myers' channel.
Did you?
And I'm going to play Freeman's version right here just for expediency. I'll put this back on here. All right, so this is the cop who showed up, who had custom-made shirts to show off his muscles. He was there looking for some action. He thought he's a cop. Everything will just go away like it always does for cops. But this guy, unfortunately, you have to fight this hard for a little bit of freedom. And this is how hard you have to fight for a false arrest. It's disgusting. They can't, even when you show them on camera they've done something illegal, they cannot admit to it. They never, ever, ever could take responsibility. So here we go.
Did you?
Tell me if you can hear everything. So just say yes, I can hear.
You testify at the beginning of this that you swore an oath to uphold civil rights?
Yes.
Do you think the Constitution is important?
Yes.
Do you believe in the Constitution?
I do.
You know what the First Amendment of the United States Constitution is?
I'm unsure.
Do you know what the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment is?
I do not.
Do you know what the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment is?
I do not.
Do you know what a traditional public forum is?
I do not.
Do you know what protected speech is?
I do not.
Do you know what unprotected speech is?
I do not.
Do you know what the
These are highlights.
14th Amendment is of the United States Constitution?
No, I do not.
So they didn't teach you about any of this at the academy?
I don't recall. No, I'm unsure.
So you don't recall, no, or you're unsure? Pick one.
Rephrase that into a smaller sentence that's
Okay.
direct to the point, because I feel you're adding words together to make a sentence.
Do you believe
You're adding words together to make a sentence. So that's how you guys trick all the cops. You add words together to create sentences, and it messes with us. We weren't trained in all that. We weren't trained in how to respond to people putting words together to form sentences.
in the Constitution?
I do,
Do you believe if someone has their civil rights violated, that the person responsible should be held accountable?
depending on the situation.
You just said that you believe in civil rights. You
Yes.
think the Constitution is important. You believe in the Constitution. You swore out to uphold civil rights. So my question is do you believe if somebody violates those civil rights that you've sworn an oath to uphold, that you believe in, that you think are important, should that person be held responsible?
Depends.
See how nervous he's getting as he's asking the question? And on the sidewalk or any other encounter that where he wasn't under oath like this is when they just go quiet and ignore you. But they can't do it here.
What?
Totality of the circumstance.
Is it your sworn duty to know what you're charging someone with before you charge them?
I do know what I'm charging with, but I don't know the verbatim of the state statute.
So you know there's a statute, but you just don't know what it says.
I know what it says, but I don't know the complete verbatim of what it says.
I'm asking you, what was
I know what it says.
your reasonable articulable suspicion to non-consensually detain Mr. Myers after your initial conversation with Doug Downey?
I'm unfamiliar with those terms.
You're not familiar with the term reasonable articulable suspicion?
Not in the context you're trying to provide it in.
Does the law apply to everyone equally?
The law applies to everyone, yes.
Equally.
Yes.
Can you say that? The law applies to everyone equally?
I'm not going to say that, but the law applies to everyone. I swear in a
I'm not going to say it applies to everybody equally because that would be a bald-faced lie. There's certain sovereign citizens like cops, judges, and politicians, for example, that the laws don't equally apply to and they're not equally enforced on. We know that for a fact. People outside our movement are still, hanging around in the muddy water, but it's crystal clear what's going on in this society.
firm under penalty of perjury that the facts set forth are true to the best of my information. I believe I understand that it is a criminal offense subject to the penalty imprisonment to make a false statement in a criminal complaint.
Is that your signature right under there?
Yes.
So you signed this document, right?
Yes.
Did you search Mr. Myers before you transported him from Hopewell Lake Campground?
No, not that I'm aware
Did
of.
you fill this document out and sign it that says you did?
Correct.
Have you been disciplined in any way for your actions on July 1st by anybody within the New Mexico State Police?
No, not as of right now. I'll be attending a de-escalation class.
I'm going to start with a couple of questions. What's your name and badge number?
First name is going to be Angel. Last name Moreno. Badge number that's assigned to me is going to be 434.
Okay. Have you ever met me, Mr. For the purpose of this, Mr. Walquist also, I'm going to call myself, I'm going to quote unquote speak in the third person sort of. I'm just going to call myself Mr. Myers so we don't get confused with I or we or any of that. Does that work for you?
Understood. That's a good plan. It looks better on the transcript that way.
That way, you know, I could be anybody. All right. So have you ever met Mr. Myers before July 1st?
Not before July 1st, no.
Okay. So that was your first time?
Yes.
Have you ever been to Hopewell Lake Campground?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever arrested anybody there?
Yes, I have.
And what were those charges for?
So there's going to be a criminal trespassing charge, resisting and evading, and I believe a disorderly disturbance.
You've arrested people for that before there, just to be criminal trespassing?
Not before there. I thought we were speaking on July 1st.
No, I asked you, have you ever arrested anybody other than Mr. Myers at Hopewell Lake Campground?
No.
Okay, so those charges you referred to were for Mr. Myers?
Yes.
So, but you have responded to a call at Hopewell Lake Campground before, right?
Yes, I have.
And did you arrest anybody?
No, I don't remember.
What were you called there for?
There's been some motor vehicle accidents, disorderly disturbance of a noise complaint. Other than that, I don't recall anything else.
Was Doug Downey the host at that time?
I'm unaware. No.
So you went there for some calls but never arrested anybody. Is there a record of those calls?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. Are you aware that it's federal land?
I'm not aware of it.
You're not aware that Hopewell Lake Campground is owned by the United States Forest Service?
Only thing I'm aware of is that there's a proprietary jurisdiction that allows me to go on Hopewell Lake and enact state laws as well.
That's not what he asked you. This is another tactic by cops. Answer a question that was not asked. That aggravates me more than anything, and it's insulting to your intelligence. Hey man, do you like cheeseburgers? Well, the thing about fast food restaurants is that sometimes the drive-thru can get clogged. You know, this new merge system they use, and who does Taco Bell think they are making French fries? Sir, I asked you if you like burgers. Yeah, you know, the thing is, some people put sesame seeds on them, you know, and sesame seeds came from the cultivation of slave labor. So that's the thing about the French fries.
And enforce rules and regulations or anything criminal. Not rules
What
and
about
regulations,
federal laws?
but just state.
Just state laws, not federal?
I'm unaware. All I'm aware of is just state laws.
You're unaware if he has to enforce any federal laws. So he doesn't even understand that the Constitution is federal law.
Not aware if you enforce federal laws?
No.
Did you swear an oath to uphold federal laws?
I swear oath to uphold the duties and responsibilities as well as state laws.
That's not what he asked you. Again, same tactic.
Of
the state of New Mexico and the United States.
You swore an oath to uphold the laws of the federal government?
Not the federal government. No, I did not say that.
And who's the United States, bro?
You said the United States.
Yes, the United States.
What are you referring to when you refer to the United States? What United States laws are you referring to that you swore an oath to uphold?
Your civil rights.
Those are not a law.
Oh, other than that, then no, I'm unaware of any federal laws that I uphold.
So you're unaware of any federal laws you uphold, and you're unaware that Hopewell Lake is federal property.
Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up some exhibits here real fast. Let's see. Go to screen share.
This cop is so young, dude. And I used to be that kid who would look at older people like, what do you know? Dude, like it or not, as smart as you think you are, certain things come with age, period. You can't know. There's certain things a 45-year-old man is going to know that you don't as, you know, a 20 to 30 to 40-year-old man. There's knowledge to be gained. So this guy just wanted some action, was told about the dog. He went in the scene anyway. He's ready to shoot a dog. He's ready to use his gun.
Okay. So we are going to, let's see. I'm gonna
Who wears a seatbelt when you're parked too?
pull up this complaint you filed here. Did you fill this out, Mr. Marino?
Yes.
You did, right? So
Yes.
This was provided to me by the prosecution. Okay. This is the criminal complaint you turned in when you arrested me, and you turned it in when you arrested Mr. Myers, and you turned it into the. Can you read this right here? I don't know on your screen. What does it say right here?
I
You can see the
swore,
mouse.
I swear and affirm under penalty of perjury that the facts set forth are true to the best of my information and belief. I understand that it is a criminal offense subject to the penalty imprisonment to make false statement in a criminal complaint.
Is that your signature right under there?
Yes.
So you signed this document, right?
Yes.
Did you search Mr. Myers before you transported him from?
Richard Fulmer says, John, is this guy a commercial for Trump and free land, or is he questioning an uneducated cop? Well, he's obviously a Trump supporter, and he is questioning an uneducated cop. I don't know about the free land, a commercial.
Hopewell Lake Campground?
No, not that I'm aware
Did
of.
you fill this document out and sign it that says you did?
Correct.
And why did you do that? Why did you fill that out that you did search him if you didn't?
Because you just had shorts, or Mr. Myers had shorts on that day. Other than that, I didn't inspect anything obstructing or outside of or coming out of his pockets.
So again, I'm going to ask you, Mr. Moreno, did you search Mr. Myers prior to leaving the campground?
I'm unaware. I don't recall.
You don't recall the answer you just.
I don't recall as another tried and true method for cops to try to get out of anything. If you don't remember, you can't be held accountable for it. And saying I don't remember makes you look stupid, so they fancy it up by saying I don't recall.
Just gave, or you don't recall if you searched him or not? Because if you
recall
don't recall, we can pull the video up.
Okay.
Do you need me to play the video?
I do not need you to play the video. No, sir.
Okay, so did you search Mr. Myers prior to leaving the campground or not?
I don't remember. No.
So
To
that's
the
the
best of my
third different
knowledge,
answer you've given now, sir. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying? You are aware of your responsibilities in this. You can't plead the fifth.
No
This
one's
is not court. So you need to answer to the best of your abilities.
best of my abilities, did a visual search. Other than that, not a physical search or pat.
Okay, so is it the policy of the New Mexico State Police to search detainees prior to transport?
Yes.
Okay, so did you follow New Mexico State Police policy?
I followed all my policy
What's going on here?
and regulations on completing the arrest, booking, situation that transpired during that day.
Oh, what the hell?
Okay, can we focus on one thing at a time though, sir? I don't want to get anybody, did you, so initially I asked you if you searched Mr. Myers. You said no. I asked you again to clarify, and now you don't remember. So I'm just for the record. Did you search Mr. Myers prior to leaving Hopewell Lake Campground?
Not a physical search. No.
Is that required by New Mexico State Police policy?
Yes.
Did you fill this document out and sign it that indicates you searched Mr. Myers prior to transport?
From the document, what I'm reading, yes.
You did.
Yes.
Was that a mistake?
No, I wouldn't say it was a mistake due to the circumstance and due to what transpired. Only focus at that time was putting Mr. Myers in the back of my patrol vehicle for further escalation.
Okay, is that consistent with New Mexico State Police policy? Once you have somebody in handcuffs, couldn't that have endangered the paramedics or Officer Garcia when Mr. Myers arrived at the post?
So
what is
due
the
to the
policy?
totality of circumstance, I felt that it was best to put Mr. Myers in the rear passenger of my patrol vehicle due to the irateness of the male subject at that time and due to the resisting and arrest that Mr. Myers enacted that day. Again, the totality of circumstance, it was my best judgment to put Mr. Myers in the rear patrol seat of my vehicle.
Totality of circumstances is something you're supposed to consider in every case, but it's a subjective term, and that's another thing they use. But if you try to use totality of circumstances, saying like totality of circumstances, people who wear the same outfit as this cop have killed many people. In the totality of the circumstances, I have no reason to believe he's not going to do it to me or has a chance of losing my life to this cop, and that's why I fled from him. You try to use that in your favor, it's never going to work.
For further escalations and get him transported out.
Richard Fulmer also says that this guy's not doing a good job, I guess, questioning him or controlling the conversation because he's seen it before. I think he did a pretty decent job, man, considering he's not a lawyer. You got to take that to account. You can't, everybody judges auditors or guys like me who go and try to fight their own battles as up to the standards of a lawyer. And that's just not the case, dude. It's not that easy. We don't know how to speak all them Latin, and we don't study for years on end the generalities and the procedures of how court works.
Other than that, I didn't do a physical search. I did a visual search. Didn't see anything inside Mr. Myers' pocket. He was wearing shorts. Other than that, anything that was possibly a physical object or a heavy object would have fell out of his pockets during what transpired.
So wouldn't you have checked the box marked no?
No.
If everything you just said was okay and everything you just said was an exception to the policy and you feel those were extenuating circumstances, wouldn't you just check no and then explain those circumstances later?
No.
So he's lying about this. He's trying to cop splint his way out of this too. He didn't search him, but he wrote that he did. He's caught in a lie.
So you would intentionally check yes, even if you didn't search him?
Not intentionally, no. But at this time, it was just my only focus was just getting Mr. Myers into the Rio Arriba County Detention Center.
Did you fill this report out at the campground as you were taking Mr. Myers into custody?
No.
You filled this out after?
After, yes.
So when you were filling this out, you weren't attempting.
He's trying to blame him again. That's that rapist mentality. He's trying to blame him for not being able to fill this form out correctly.
To place Mr. Myers in the rear of your police car or restrain him or any of that?
Unsure of what you're asking me. Can you rephrase that?
When you were filling this report out, you indicated that it was after you placed Mr. Myers in jail.
Correct. No, not when I placed you in jail. No, or Mr. Myers.
So you did fill. Were you engaged physically with Mr. Myers while filling this out?
That'd be impossible, sir.
I'm just going by what I'm just trying to follow up and
Did I ask you if it was impossible? Answering a question I didn't ask.
develop what you said a little better.
And this is why cops are hated on the road and everywhere else. This is how they're trained. They're trained to obfuscate, dodge and deflect and change the subject. This is all, we're on to you. We know how you play. You're not righteous in any way. You're not the good guys. You don't act like the good guys. You do things that bad people do. You don't do things that good people do.
Because you're indicating that the reason you intentionally put yes, even though you did not, is because you were caught up in the moment of detaining Mr. Myers and placing him in the back of your car.
No, that is not what I am trying to say.
Okay.
What's a lie, Richard?
Okay, let's move to something else for now. We can come back to this. Okay, so this is the complaint you filled out though, right? And you signed this.
That is going to be the initial.
That's your signature right there, right?
From what I can see, yeah.
Okay. We'll move to a different something else right now. So do you think do you think you followed the policy there correctly?
What policy is it displayed? On
Do you believe you correctly followed the New Mexico State policy of searching someone, a detainee, prior to transport? And do you feel you correctly filled the form out?
Correct. Yes, I do.
You do. Okay.
So even though he's completely lying, got caught in a lie, didn't search him, didn't follow the procedure, he still says under oath, of course I followed the policy right.
How long have you been a police officer?
For approximately 1 year and 3 months.
1 year and 3 months. Have you ever arrested somebody other than Mr. Myers?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever arrested someone in public without a warrant in the state of New Mexico?
Yes, I have.
Was that for a felony or a misdemeanor?
Both.
So you have arrested people in New
Who's a lawyer, George?
Mexico without a warrant for a misdemeanor in public.
Yes.
Have you ever used force during an arrest?
Yes, I have.
For a misdemeanor in public without a warrant?
Public, as you're referring to, out in the open,
His wife's supposedly a lawyer, but he's not a lawyer.
park, gas station.
I'm referring to the public as it's referred to in the New Mexico laws that you swore an oath to uphold and you were trained on at the
Even though you never read the laws.
academy.
Would you give me the definition of what it states then? So I can get better understanding. Public, I'm referring, if I'm.
Can you please read the law to me? A law enforcement officer who will arrest somebody for laws he doesn't know or understand.
If you're referring to public, out in the open, sidewalk, park, gas station.
I'm referring to the legal definition of public as it's defined under New Mexico statute.
I have not that I can recall, no.
So other than Mr. Myers, you have not used force during a warrantless arrest for a misdemeanor in the state of New Mexico in public?
In public, no.
Okay. Did you arrest Mr. Myers on July 1st?
Yes, I did.
Did you arrest Mr. Myers for a misdemeanor crime without a warrant in public?
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Fitzcam just did. He said in one video that he and his wife are both lawyers. Good. If he's a lawyer, great. He's doing great.
So you're aware that what public is now?
Yes, yes, I do.
Is there anything you wish you would have handled differently that day?
No, I do not.
There's nothing you wish you handled differently on July 1st.
No, sir.
So he's fine with the way he did everything on July 1st. He doesn't think he did anything wrong. He believes the only way that he could have resolved that situation is by pulling a gun on the guy's dog and then going hands-on with him, who already negotiated everything with everybody. The only reason he's being told to leave off public land is because they don't want him there, not because he's broken any laws.
Have you ever arrested somebody for trespassing, criminal trespassing, 30-14-1C?
Yes, I have.
What are the elements of 30-14-1C?
Unwanted at a resident or place, or their permission to be on that area or in that area, or residence or land is revoked, which means
okay. I'm gonna
away.
Can you narrow it down to the elements of 30-14-1C, which Mr. Myers is charged with specifically?
Can you go ahead and provide the exhibit so I can take a look at it?
I'm asking you.
By the way, guys, if you like these live streams, every time I'm done with one of these and I try to turn on monetization, it turns orange. I guess whatever, every live stream I've done has turned orange. So consider becoming a member for 99 cents.
I'm asking you to tell me the elements of 30-14-1C, which you arrested Mr. Myers for that day.
That's going to be when the permission has been denied or taken back or withdrawn and they've been asked to leave the property.
Which property?
Any property that is owned by someone. Or
is that what it says on 30-14-1C?
I don't know the complete verbatim of the state statute. I am just giving a brief synopsis of what it is.
Can you give me the I'm not asking for a synopsis because at this time you did detain and arrest Mr. Myers and file a criminal complaint under penalty of perjury. You filed a 30-14-1C. Okay, so I need you to tell me what the elements of that are, because you're going to tell me those were present when you detained Mr. Myers, right? So we'll get to that. First, we'll get to 30-14-1C. You signed this document, so you should know what you charged somebody with.
I did. I said criminal trespass.
But I'm asking you to give the elements of subset 30-14-1 subsection C, which is specifically what's alleged in the criminal complaint.
Yes, it's going to be there in the criminal complaint.
I know it's on there. I'm asking you to say it, the person who's in charge of enforcing it.
I don't know the complete verbatim of the criminal trespassing. I don't study and sit down and read a verbatim on the state statutes.
Do you enforce state statutes?
Yes, I do.
Is it your sworn duty to know what you're charging someone with before you charge them?
I do know what I'm charging with, but I don't know the verbatim of the state statute.
So you know there's a statute, but you just don't know what it says.
I know what it says, but I don't know the complete verbatim of what it says.
Says.
So prior to detaining Mr. Myers on July 1st, did you look the statute up and verify what 30-14-1C is?
Yes, I do. Not prior, but I have arrested people for criminal trespass.
No, I'm asking if on July 1st, prior to detaining Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing, because you were unsure of the exact elements needed to prosecute, did you verify that prior to your interaction with Mr. Myers?
I was not sure of. Can you repeat that question?
Prior to detaining Mr. Myers on July 1st for 30-14-1C, did you look at?
J-Rock 71 says, how was this court? I think this is just a deposition. I think they're doing this to see if it'll go to court and if they'll use the same testimony in court, something of that nature. Guys, do me a favor. I do care if you join. I'd like you to, but I just want to know, when you guys look at this video right now that you're watching, does it say join under your thing? Because for some people it'll have that button under the video, and other people it won't, which is another way YouTube is horrible, bro. That's horrible what you're doing. If there's one there, please say yes, there is one there.
Get up.
I don't want no 5x16 codes and fractions, okay? I don't need fractions. I need definitive answers to a legal degree of certainty.
Did you check with someone? Did you inquire as to the elements of the charge you were about to detain Mr. Myers for? Did you?
Now you see, Allie Bell says she doesn't see a join button. James says yes. Richard says yes. There is no join button for me. See? How crazy is that? That is such BS, bro. If we won't monetize you, but you can create a private membership. But not everyone can even join your private membership if they wanted to, because they don't put the button underneath the video. That's such crap, dude. God, that's annoying. Sorry.
Did you inquire as to the legal standard needed to be met in order to detain and arrest somebody for that?
So I understood what was told to me, that Mr. Myers' permissions to be on the land was withdrawn. He was asked to leave at that moment.
Mr. Moreno, excuse me, sir. I really need you to just answer the questions
And stop answering questions I haven't asked you.
that are asked. If you're not
I'm
sure,
answering them.
you don't have a direct answer, that's fine, but please don't give answers to questions that weren't asked.
I am giving you a question. I don't understand what type of response you are looking for. I don't know if you're looking for just a yes or no, or if you're looking for a statement.
That's the beauty of these depositions. You're free to answer in any way you want.
Oh,
So
I am.
So I'm asking you, let's try to really stay focused here so we can move this along. Can you just try to just give answers focused on the question? Okay, so on July 1st,
Thank you, James. I appreciate you, man.
prior to detaining Mr. Myers, prior to pulling up at the campsite and exiting your vehicle, did you verify, did you look it up, did you call somebody, did you go on your computer, on your phone, and look up the elements of 30-14-1C prior to that?
I didn't look up the elements. I did not call anyone. I was just going to a call and seeing what the call was about.
So you did not verify the legal standard of 30-14-1C prior to detaining Mr. Myers for that crime?
I did not call someone. I did not look anything up.
Okay, I'm going to read you what elements of 30-14-1C are, okay?
Okay.
This is what you charge Mr. Myers.
Okay. I don't care, but okay.
Good.
Tell me what it says.
The above named defendant did knowingly enter or remain at Hopewell campsite, land owned, operated, or controlled by the state of New Mexico, and permission had been denied to the defendant or withdrawn by the custodians of the land. Okay, so you gave a lot of different answers about trespassing, and there are multiple elements of trespassing, and you did refer to different ones. You know, there was some overlap there, but 30-14-1C specifically states that the person is on land owned, operated, and controlled by the state of New Mexico.
Correct.
Is Hopewell Lake Campground owned, operated, and controlled by the state of New Mexico?
We do enforce laws on there, yes.
Which laws?
Any laws that apply to the state or anything that the custodian wants to happen or that happens on Hopewell Lake.
Who's the custodian at Hopewell Lake?
It's going to be Mr. Downey.
No, he's the host.
Yeah.
The custodian of the lands is who owns the lands and manages the lands. That's the United States Forest Service.
Okay, thank you for that.
Did you we'll get that in a second. So prior to arresting Mr. Myers, did you verify that Hopewell Lake was owned by the state of New Mexico?
I did not.
Did you verify that Mr. Myers' permission had been denied by the custodian of the land?
Yes.
You did?
Through Mr. Downey, yes, who's going to be the camp host.
He said the custodian, and just a second ago he explained to you the difference. But you're still going with the janitor said I could.
At that time, that is who was a supervisor.
Just no run on. Just answer trust me, I'm going to ask you every question under the sun. So you don't need to give answers to questions that haven't been asked prematurely. So just let the questions come.
Like you've been doing this whole time, like almost every cop does on the street.
So you didn't verify anything, and you did, and it's your belief that the state of New Mexico owns that.
Technically, yes.
Yes, they own that?
I would say yes. Or I'm unsure, actually. I would say I'm unsure.
Which answer would you like to give for the record?
Unsure.
It hurts, man. It hurts.
Okay. So have you ever arrested somebody for 30-14-1C?
Yes, I have.
Where were they located when you did that?
Multiple places.
Okay, where? Give me an example of an arrest because I have every arrest you've ever made here. So I'd like to go over the ones that you've made on for criminal trespassing, 30-14-1C. Okay. So narrow it down to the ones you arrested people on state land.
State land?
Yeah. Land owned by the state of New Mexico.
I'm unsure. I don't remember every arrest I've ever made.
But
If you would like, you can give me a brief example of one of my arrests on criminal trespass.
I mean, you know what I mean? I can't do your job for you, sir. No offense, but you got to answer the questions with what you have, with the information you have. I can't help you answer my questions.
So I don't remember every arrest, so I can't give you
Okay, that's fine. You don't need to remember I was just curious if off the top of your head, you were able to recall any times that you arrested somebody on land owned, operated,
What's got you giggling so hard?
or controlled by the state of New Mexico with them having previously had their permission denied.
I'm unaware of any arrests, but I have, yes.
Does Doug Downey work for the state of New Mexico?
From what he works for the state parks. So
Does he?
I wouldn't know if he works for the state of New Mexico.
Does he work for the
He doesn't even work for the state park.
state parks?
From what was given to me, I would say yes, he was the camp host.
What was given to you or through your investigation?
What was given to me through my investigation.
And when was this investigation that took place?
July 1st.
Prior to arresting Mr. Myers?
Prior.
So prior to arresting Mr. Myers, you verified who Doug Downey worked for?
Yes.
With who?
State parks.
You called the state parks?
I did not call the state parks, no.
Rich, what is your problem, man? Oh, because you've seen it already? Okay. All right, dude. You don't have to stick around. It's cool.
So you just testified that you verified. You know what? We'll get to that in a minute. Let's move through this in order. We're going to go through this kind of as the rest happen. We'll get to this. I don't want to go
It does hurt.
down too many rabbit holes yet. We got a lot to cover. So you can't remember if you've ever arrested somebody for 30-14-1C, which is trespassing on land owned by the state of New Mexico, having had their permission revoked by the state of New Mexico. Is that correct?
No, that's not. I don't remember every single arrest.
So that would be correct then. What I'm saying is to the best of your knowledge, you cannot recall any time that you arrested somebody on state of New Mexico land with them having had their permission revoked by the state of New Mexico.
Correct. Can't recall, but I have.
Okay. So have you ever arrested somebody for trespassing on federal property?
From what I can recall, no. Unsure.
No, or you're unsure, because those are two significant things, sir. If you ask me if I committed a crime and I say no, and if I say unsure, those are two completely different answers. It
I love you, man.
can lead to two completely different follow-up questions.
I would say no, not on federal.
So you've never arrested somebody for trespassing on federal land?
From what I can recollect, no.
This is kind of speculation, I'll admit that, but are you aware of any of your coworkers who have ever arrested somebody on federal land for trespassing?
Be a little bit more specific on where you're referring to. Are you going to be referred to in the state of New Mexico, in Texas?
Yes.
Germany?
Absolutely. Are you aware of any other New Mexico State Police? Are you officers who have arrested somebody for 30-14-1C while that person was on federal land?
Yes.
So you're aware of this happening?
Not this specific incident that we're here attending for today, but if we're talking about Hopewell Lake, then yes, I do.
You do what?
I do know that there's been arrests made at Hopewell Lake.
For trespassing?
Not for trespassing. Like I said, not related to this incident we're
But
discussing.
the question was Officer Moreno.
Yeah, you did
Please
not
do
actually.
your best to just answer the question, okay? I asked you for trespassing, for criminal. I agree. I asked you to speculate a little bit, but I asked you if you're aware of any New Mexico State police officers who have arrested anyone for criminal trespassing on federal land, be that Hopewell Lake or other federal property located within the state of New Mexico.
I'm unaware.
Thank you. Have you arrested somebody for a state crime on federal land before?
I'm unaware.
You're unaware if you've ever arrested somebody for on federal land?
Unaware. Yes, sir.
Don't you mean I don't recall?
Ever arrested somebody for a federal crime on federal land?
Unaware.
You're not aware?
Unaware.
Okay. Have you ever arrested somebody at Hopewell Lake Campground?
Yes.
And what was that crime?
Going to be a criminal trespass, resisting and obstructing an officer, concealing identity, as well as disorderly disturbance on July 1st.
You arrested somebody that day
Yes.
and charged him with all that?
Yes.
And what was that person's name?
At the time of the investigation, John Doe, because he refused to give his first and last name. It was later identified.
You got to start at the beginning, dude. Come on. I'm just going to stop the thing and re-summarize the whole thing, man. Really? Just kidding, man. I love you, but you got to go to the beginning.
As Lane Myers through the jail.
Okay, so I don't think we're on the same page here. We know you arrested Mr. Myers. That's why we're here.
Yes.
That's not what the question was.
It was. Yes, sir.
That was the question?
That was the question you asked, and I gave you a response.
Okay, let me ask it better then. So you must not have interpreted it correctly. Have you, other than Mr. Myers, okay? Other than Mr. Myers, have you ever arrested somebody at Hopewell Lake Campground?
Unsure.
You're unsure?
Yes, I'm unsure.
Okay. Did you swear an oath to uphold the New Mexico and United States Constitution?
Yes.
Did you swear an oath to uphold New Mexico state and local law?
Yes.
Did you swear an oath to uphold federal law?
If federal law is broken, we can charge for it.
If federal law is broken, we can charge for it. Can you be more specific? Did you
So-
swear an oath to uphold federal law?
If an individual has a switch on a firearm, as a federal law, that they're not allowed to have a switch. So we can.
Someone has a switch on their firearm, and I guess that might be a federal law. So, we can enforce that. We can. Why, you got a switch or something? Something I need to know?
Arrest for that.
Did you swear an oath to uphold federal law?
I would say I'm unsure.
Thank you. Do you know what Article 2, Section?
How can you be unsure if you enforce federal law? How could you be in a jury, hear a cop say, I don't know if I enforce federal law? and not throw the whole thing out immediately? You think that should be maybe possibly a prerequisite to becoming a cop, is knowing the laws you have jurisdiction to enforce, whether they're state, city, federal, whatever? Wouldn't that be like something that'd be an ongoing education? Maybe after 2, 3, 4 years, you understand where you're at. Doesn't know if he enforces federal laws, unless it's a switch or something, bro.
Section 10 of the New Mexico Constitution is?
I do not.
You don't.
Not that I can recall, no.
You know what the First Amendment of the United States Constitution is?
I'm unsure.
Did you testify at the beginning of this that you swore an oath to uphold civil rights?
Yes.
What are those civil rights?
Freedom
That
of
you swore-
speech, religion, right to bear arms, search and seizure,
What do those fall under?
civil rights.
What is the right to bear arms?
You can have firearms with you.
Is that the Second Amendment?
I would say yes.
So you don't know what the First Amendment is?
Freedom of speech, religion. I don't know the whole civil rights.
I didn't even ask you. That's the thing, Moreno. That's the thing, sir. If you just actually respected my questions and answered the questions directly, you okay? Because I didn't ask you what to name the First Amendment. I asked you if you knew what it was.
Yes, I
okay.
do know. Yes,
Do you know what protected liberty interests are?
I do not.
Now he starts. So you have to scold him under oath to get him to answer the questions properly, because he knows what he's doing. Because you're going to see right here, it's a rapid fire question answer. So he knows how to turn off that cops planning BS.
You know what protected speech is?
I do not.
Do you know what unprotected speech is?
I do not.
Do you know what the 14th Amendment is of the United States Constitution?
No, I do not.
Do you know what the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment is?
I do not.
Do you know what the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment is?
I do not.
Do you know what a traditional public forum is?
I do not.
Do you believe in the Constitution?
I do.
Do you think the Constitution is important?
Yes.
Do you think people should have civil rights?
I do. Yes.
And you swore an oath to uphold them civil rights, right?
Yes.
Do you believe if someone has their civil rights violated, that the person responsible should be held accountable?
Depending on the situation. Depending on the
As long as it ain't me, yeah.
situation.
Okay, let me give you a situation. The situation is, did someone have their civil rights violated?
When?
Ever. The question is, Officer Moreno, here's the question. Do you believe if someone has their civil rights violated, the person responsible should be held accountable?
Depends.
Depends on what?
Depends on the totality of the circumstance, if we're referring to law enforcement or public officials or general public.
I'm referring to an individual having their civil rights violated by anyone.
Unrelated to this incident that we're speaking about today.
I didn't mention anything about this incident. I'm asking if you believe someone has their civil rights violated, because remember, you just said that you believe in civil rights. You
Yes.
think the Constitution is important. You believe in the Constitution. You
Yes.
swore out to uphold civil rights. So my question is do you believe if somebody violates those civil rights that you've sworn an oath to uphold, that you believe in, that you think are important, should that person be held responsible?
Depends.
On what?
Totality of the circumstance.
Depends if he's a cop or not.
It depends on if they violated the person's rights or not.
I don't. I'm unsure of what you're asking now.
I'm asking if you believe if someone has their civil rights violated.
Which deposition, when you questioned that grumpy old cop that wouldn't even look in the camera and tried to scold you during the testimony, that one?
It doesn't necessarily mean you, okay? It doesn't mean you violated somebody's civil rights. Do you believe if the person walking down the street, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is a generalized question.
Okay.
Do you believe if someone, because the prior questions were, do you believe in the Constitution? And you said yes. Do you think the Constitution is important? Do you think people should have civil rights? Okay, so you believe civil rights are important. You believe the Constitution is important. So if it's important, do you believe if somebody has their rights under the Constitution violated, should the person responsible be held accountable? It's a really simple question. Do you believe if someone has their civil rights violated, the person responsible for violating their rights should be held accountable?
Yes, they should be held accountable.
Thank you. Do you know the difference between apparent authority and actual authority?
It doesn't depend anymore. You know what the worst part about geriatric porn is? Depends.
Yes.
What are the differences?
Parent authority, someone who's in charge of their children, their own offspring. And what else authority?
I'm going to let you start over with that, okay? Because I don't think you meant to say that. So I'm going to ask the question a little.
Yeah, man, you asked me about people's parents. A parent's authority. A parent's authority. Like in what is it called? Big Brother? No, what was that movie? Christmas? Home Alone. A parent's authority. A parent's authority. It's like lactose and tolerant. Lactose and tolerant. Lactose intolerant. See? Same thing.
A little slower and a little clearer, okay?
Okay.
Do you know the difference between apparent authority and actual authority?
Oh, I thought you said a parents, as in a mom and dad authority figure. No, I do not.
Perf.
So you do not know the difference between apparent authority and actual authority?
No.
Okay. Are you familiar with how Article 2, Section 10 covers actual authority?
I'm unfamiliar.
So they didn't teach you about any of this at the academy?
Unsure.
You're unsure. Is the training from the academy publicly available?
Do you lose arguments to insects? I don't recall.
Certifications, they are possibly, but the training that's received in the academy is not. You'd have to go through the academy to receive that training.
But he was trespassing. But you don't understand.
I mean is, do you think, is it to the best of your knowledge, is a private citizen like me who's not in the academy able to request copies of everything that you're trained in the academy?
Yes.
Top secret. I mean, yeah, you could have it. Whatever, man. Can I take my seatbelt off now? You're scaring me.
Somebody like me could have a copy of your training, right? Manual.
Yes. Yes.
So do you recall being trained about actual authority?
Yes.
So you do know what actual authority is?
Yes.
Okay, so would you like to change your answer when I asked you, do you know the difference between apparent authority and actual authority?
I would not know. I would just
No, man, I know it contradicts itself, but this way I can muddy the water. A parent has authority. My parents, your parents, a parent's authority.
keep it the same.
So you know, so you are aware what actual authority is.
I would say authority in general. Yes, I would just stick with authority.
It's not what he asked you. I'll just stick to answering a question you didn't ask. Let's just do it that way. How about we do it that way? A parent has authority.
That's what you can stick with that, but I need you to stick with what I'm asking, which is the legal term, actual authority.
I don't know the legal term of actual authority, so I won't answer on that question.
Did they train you that in the academy?
I don't recall. No, I'm unsure.
So you don't recall, no, or you're unsure? Pick one.
Unsure.
So it is possible, you're just not sure.
Unsure.
So did you verify
I'm not even sure if I have parents at this point.
Doug Downey had the actual authority to request Mr. Myers be removed?
I did not verify. No.
Is that a legal requirement?
No.
You're not required to verify that the person requesting this person be removed from this land, you're not required to verify they have actual authority?
Depends. I would do.
Depends. You know them diapers for old people.
I just went for he was a camp.
Okay, instead of being ambiguous, let's get really specific and go back to the original question. Did you verify that Douglas Downey had the actual authority to request Mr. Myers be removed from Hopewell Lake Campground?
No, I did not verify.
Why did you choose not to verify Doug Downey had actual authority to request Mr. Myers be removed from the campground?
He was a reporting party.
Who was?
Mr. Downey.
So because Doug Downey was a reporting party, you chose not to verify if he had the actual authority to.
Transparent. My mom used to dress like my dad, and my dad used to dress like my mom. They were transparent. I'm just
removed?
And due to what statement he provided us or what he initially told us he was a camp host.
Does Article 2, Section 10 require New Mexico law enforcement officers to verify actual authority?
I'm unsure.
You're unsure.
Yes.
But you're sure that you did not.
I don't recall my parents' authority.
You did not verify that Doug Downey had the actual authority to revoke somebody's First Amendment First Amendment liberty interest in a traditional public forum. You did not verify that.
I'm unsure.
You're unsure if you verified?
Yes.
You just said you didn't.
I'm unsure.
So you're
I am completely lost at this point. I want to call my parents and have them use their authority to pull me out this deposition because I peed myself a little and I don't want it to start smelling after this long dep of pooping position.
changing your answer?
I would believe that's the same answer I gave previously, was unsure.
You're unsure if you verify why you're not.
If you were not sure and he not sure, nobody
Sure,
is
right?
sure.
Yes.
This isn't external. This is a question directly for you, Officer
Mhm.
Moreno. There's no, asking somebody else, or it's this question. The answer to this question doesn't rely on the testimony of anybody else. It doesn't. So I'm asking you to give, in your best opinion of yourself, of your actions. I'm asking you to analyze your own actions. Why did you choose not to verify? Excuse me. Why did you choose to verify that Doug Downey did not? Why did you choose? You already said you did not verify, and now I'm asking you, why not?
He's believed to be reasonable. He was a camp host, went for his word, interviewed him. Other than that, he stated he spoke with his supervisor.
So you're saying you.
The jurisdiction is not even a thought in their mind whether they have authority to be somewhere and do what they do. That's the last thing they think of. They think they can, wherever they're at, wherever they can access or drive to or get to, they have authority, period. Do you not see this costume?
You took those statements from Doug Downey as if he had authority.
I would say yes, yes.
Okay, so is that consistent with New Mexico state law?
I'm unsure.
You're not sure of the law, but you chose to not verify that Doug Downey actually had that authority because he was a reporting party and he acted like so. You're familiar with a like you did. we'll get to that. All right, so you chose not to verify. All right, so we'll go down here a little bit. Okay, so all right, we'll ask this for now. All right, so after you spoke to Doug, right, what was your reasonable articulable suspicion to a non-consensual detainment of Mr. Myers as you walked away from Doug Downey?
Off of the statement Mr. Doug Downey gave me?
Excuse me?
Off of what? Off of the statement that was given to me? Off of what?
That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, Officer
statement.
Moreno,
Yeah.
What was your reasonable articulable suspicion to non-consensually detain Mr. Myers after you spoke to Doug Downey?
I'm unsure of what you're asking me.
I'm asking you, what was your reasonable articulable suspicion to non-consensually detain Mr. Myers after your initial conversation with Doug Downey?
I'm unfamiliar with those terms. Are you referring to detaining Mr. Myers after what Mr. Douglas informed me?
You're not familiar with the term reasonable articulable suspicion?
Not in the context you're trying to provide it in.
Not in the context you do it, the legal context. The way the way I understand reasonable articulable suspicion is that dude has a tattoo, must be in the gang, probably killed several women. I got reasonable suspicion. See, that's how it works. This reasonable articulable suspicion, that's how we do it. I don't understand it in the context that you're saying it, where it's like you need like facts and articulated facts and stuff to make it seem a reasonable person should know or see something illegal is or about to be. No. That's not how we operate. The context we operated is tattoo, killer, and a story. Reasonable suspicion. Have a good day. Drive through. It's my second job.
I'm asking you, Officer Moreno, the arresting officer. You, sir.
Yeah.
The person who arrested me and put me in jail on my honeymoon. I'm
Yes.
asking you to answer. What was your reasonable articulable suspicion to non-consensually detain Mr. Myers prior to arriving at his campsite? When you spoke to Doug Downey, Officer Moreno, you spoke to Doug Downey. You walked away from that conversation. You got in your car and you drove to the campsite with Mr. Myers and you non-consensually detained him after you got out of your vehicle. Okay. What was your reasonable articulable?
Do you really sound like that? South Bama Gump.
Suspicion?
With a name like South Bama Gump, I probably might say you talk like this. I'm just saying. Don't worry, though. I'm an equal opportunity offender. I'll make fun of you and them damn Yankees. It don't matter. Equal opportunity.
To non-consensually detain Mr. Myers after speaking with Doug Downey the first time. Before you drove to the campsite, what was your reasonable articulable suspicion to detain Mr. Myers against his will?
Criminal trespass.
So, okay, 30-14-1C.
Criminal trespass, yes. The state statute that's on the criminal complaint.
Okay, that's the charge or the crime you believe, but now I'm asking you what your reasonable articulable suspicion that the crime of criminal trespassing was being committed.
The statement Downey provided me, or Douglas.
The statement Doug Downey provided you, which you did not verify his authority, and you took the statement Doug Downey gave you, and you thought that was enough of a pre-detainment investigation. That's all you needed. All you needed was to hear from Doug Downey.
Doug Downey was the involved party, yes.
So anybody that calls 911 is automatically telling the truth, and you do whatever they say?
Not whatever they say, but they are deemed reliable.
They're deemed reliable because they called 911?
Yes, and that's when an investigation takes place.
So is it your testimony that people have, do you believe, do people ever call 911 and lie?
I would say yes.
So you would say that people call 911 and lie, but you just stated that because somebody calls 911, that makes them a reliable witness.
They're reliable off of the information they give us, but we are unsure if they're lying or not until an investigation happens.
Oh, so an investigation still needs to happen.
So is it your testimony that if somebody when somebody calls 911, whatever they say in that call gives you reasonable suspicion to detain someone?
Depending on the investigation, depending on what the call type is.
Okay, what I'm asking you specifically is the statements to a 911 dispatcher, does that represent enough reasonable articulable suspicion for you to detain somebody based on their call?
I would say depending on what the call is. Depending on what the call is.
Depending on what the call is. Isn't the law the same for every call?
Yes, the law is the same.
So is it the same or is it depend on the call?
The law it applies to everyone. I don't know.
Equally.
Here's the hard part to say it equally applies to everyone because we know it doesn't.
Does the law apply to everyone equally?
Huh?
Does the law apply to everyone equally?
The law applies to everyone, yes.
Equally.
Yes.
Can you say that? The law applies to everyone equally?
I'm not going to say that, but the law applies to everyone.
Okay. So working back to what you just said then, the law applies to everyone. And now my question is when somebody calls 911, is the statement they give, does that meet the legal standard for reasonable articulable suspicion? Can you take what the dispatcher tells you and go detain someone?
Yes, depending on what the situation is.
What are some situations where somebody can call 911 and the police can just go detain somebody because of the contents of the call?
Domestic violence, criminal trespass, fights in progress. Those are just a couple of examples. I don't know.
Are those special laws or would those be the same? Do those laws hold the same legal standard as other laws?
I'm unsure.
So are those some type of, the laws you just referred to, do those come with some type of special exception where you're not required to investigate?
I'm unsure of what you're asking me.
Well, I asked you, what?
Come on, internet. Suck.
Laws are the laws that you're referring to when you refer to it depends on the law. The question was, is a 911 call does the statements given in a 911 call by a caller, do those meet the legal standard required for reasonable articulable suspicion, or are you still required to investigate?
We're still required to investigate.
For all crimes, right? All crimes.
Yes, all crimes.
So the statements by the 911 caller under the criminal law standards and state statute and case law, what the statements given to the 911 operator do not constitute reasonable suspicion or probable cause on your behalf, right? You're supposed to still respond to the call and investigate, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What investigation? Actually, you know what? Don't answer that yet. Okay. So moving forward, what was your probable cause to arrest Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing?
Probable cause.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a criminal trespass, refuse to leave. It's going to be resisting and concealing identity and disorderly disturbance.
That's the probable cause for criminal trespassing. I don't know why you keep referring to those other things because I'm only charged with 3 crimes.
Those were at the time of their arrest. Those were the charges that were filed.
And why weren't those? Why wasn't I arraigned on those?
I believe you can leave any dog off a leash as long as if they're under voice control. I believe that's a loophole exception to the law.
Unsure.
Did they lack probable cause?
Unsure.
I don't think it matters from one breed to another, but I could be wrong.
Sure.
Okay. What was the probable? I'm gonna ask you this question again because your answer was nowhere near the answer for the question. Okay. What was your probable cause to arrest Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing 30-14-1C?
I gave you the answer, and you
Well, you
weren't.
didn't. You talked about
satisfied.
other crimes. I'm not asking you to recite what you arrested me for. I'm not asking you to recite crimes that were not charged. I'm asking you to specifically articulate the probable cause that you had when you arrested Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing.
Refusing to leave when his
Refusing to leave
permission was
Hopewell Lake
revoked.
Campground?
Correct.
Was he required to leave?
Yes, he was told to leave.
Was he told to leave, or he asked you if he was required? Again, went right back to answering questions he's not asking.
That's not what I asked you. I'm asking. So
You did ask him that, and he answered it. Ask
I asked
another.
him,
No. He said, was he required? You finally decided to step in, Mr. Prosecutor. You finally decided to step in, and you got it wrong. He said, is he required? And the cop said he was told to. That's not answering it. It's answering a different question.
he was
Question.
required to leave.
Yes, he was.
He answered that question. Now move on to your next question. You just don't like his answers, but keep asking a question and move on.
I object to that, sir. I asked him if Mr. Myers was required to leave. It's a different word. The host telling someone to leave and being required to leave are two different things, and we both know that. So
Ask a
my
question.
What was your probable cause? And he said, because the host said he had to leave. And I said, was he
Are
required?
you asking him a question right now?
Was Mr. Myers required to leave?
Yes, he was.
Under what authority?
Criminal trespass under state of New Mexico.
So you had probable cause based on,
The totality of the circumstance.
so your probable cause was that Mr. Myers was what?
Criminal trespassing.
Based on what?
Statements in the investigation.
Statements by the host,
Correct. And the statements Mr. Myers made.
but not anything that you.
Abstract echo. That's cops planning all day. They're trained. They all learn it from each other to be as evasive and irresponsible as possible without ever taking accountability or the blame for doing anything, even if it's blatantly wrong on its face on video, happened to you. It still didn't happen to you. That's how they're trained. Just with a total disregard for accountability.
You concluded based on your investigation.
That's not what I said. I gave you an answer. It was related to the question. At that point, you just seemed satisfied with the response, so I'm unsure on what type of response you're looking for.
So we got this SUMAN one says auditors just bait for lawsuits. That's it. It's all about the dollars, not rights. Well, considering I've been doing this since before the internet was invented, you're full of crap there. What else? Some auditors try to just bait for lawsuits, but it rarely works and it doesn't pay well and it's a lot of work. It's not even worth it. So you're wrong there. I've never sued anyone and I've had plenty of opportunities to do so. Following through on lawsuits isn't as easy as you just want to make it sound in the little comment section. So you're full of it, dude. You're making false, absolute statements about a whole group of people, and you're way off. We're not cops where we're all trained the same way and do the exact same things. We are all independent and we can't be responsible for what other auditors do. Where the cops can because they have a hierarchy. We don't. We're independent. Big difference. But I digress.
You still haven't answered what your probable cause is. You keep referring to the charge code, criminal trespass. I need you to articulate the things you observed or the things that you came to a conclusion in your pre or detainment investigation.
During the investigation, Mr. Myers stated multiple times he wasn't leaving. He was asked to leave, refused to leave. That time, criminal trespassing was the charge that came.
Okay. So you're referring to your investigation as after you got to the campsite.
Yes.
Okay. Did you investigate prior to getting to the campsite?
Yes.
In what method did you investigate?
Talked to the reporting party, received his statement on the situation. That
Like
transpired.
what?
Did you talk to any other guests at the campground?
Just Mr. Douglas,
Doug Downey, the host?
Mr. Downey.
Why didn't you talk to any other campers in an attempt to verify?
We got a hater on here. Hey, dude, you want to come on live? I'll talk to you right now. We'll have a conversation. Afro Man tried and he just got convicted and that laughy face. So someone getting put in a cage for not doing anything to anybody is funny to you. You got the balls to come on the show right now? Let's see.
The statements by Mr. Downey. It's a full campground of people. Did you not feel compelled to verify the statements by Mr. Downey by possibly talking to another camper who may have witnessed this?
I just talked to Mr. Downey, who was just the involved party at the time.
So you took his word as the authority?
Correct.
Without investigating further?
That was my investigation, is gathering statements.
a statement.
My investigation is taking a statement from a janitor without verifying what jurisdiction he had in a state park where not even the cop had jurisdiction. That was his investigation. That's it. He just went in there, ignorant cop style, started a bunch of crap, doesn't know anything about the law, the Constitution, doesn't realize he has to enforce federal laws or uphold people's rights. He has no clue. This is a clueless man. He has no business being a cop. This is not what cops should be. Cops should be fairly educated men without a power trip ego. Those guys got to go, man. You want cops to get respect again? You need a constitutional police force with educated men, not this little twerp gets to run around on the streets with a gun and tackle and hurt people for camping somewhere where he's allowed to be and is willing to pay for. You're a moron if you believe in that.
And from Mr. Downey?
Yes.
Did you gather statements from anyone else?
No.
Are you required to do an investigation before you detain and arrest someone?
You can.
What do you mean you weren't talking about me? You're talking about auditors, and you said a blanket statement about them doing it for clicks and likes. Come on the show. Let's talk.
Detain someone and conduct an investigation where they're not free to leave.
Really?
Yes.
What do you need in order to do that?
Reasonable suspicion, statements.
So you need reasonable suspicion, reasonable suspicion prior to detaining someone?
Yes.
And what was your reasonable suspicion
Criminal
to detain
trespass.
Mr. Myers?
Criminal trespass.
No, what was your reasonable suspicion that criminal trespass was taking place?
Oh, what was your RES before that caused you to believe he was trespassing? He just keeps you. This is the thing. That's a circular argument because the law says so. You're almost falling into Mark Stevens territory there.
That's not articulable suspicion.
Was the
I can
statement
read you what
that
the
Mr.
prosecutor
Douglas-
wrote.
The statement that Mr. Downey provided me, as well as the observation of Mr. Myers still on the campground.
That was your suspicion?
So the janitor told you he was trespassing, and you took his word for it, and you went hands on and pointed a gun at a dog. That's your police work.
Prior to detaining Mr. Myers initially.
Yes.
And then after detaining Mr. Myers, you gathered the probable cause necessary to arrest him?
Correct.
And what steps did you take to gather that?
Before continuing, I need to use the restroom. Just got done.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Take a leak. So we were asking you about the probable cause to arrest Mr. Myers that you thought or that you are articulating that you have. And you stated basically that you took Mr. Downey's word. I don't want to put word, I don't want, so to summarize, I'm not. But you basically said that, Mr. Downey called 911, you got there, you took his statement as the only statement, and then you proceeded to the campsite to detain Mr. Myers.
That's a good idea, ex-bootlicker.
Is that about
Not to detain, no. To conduct an investigation.
I don't know how old this cop is, but I'm going to say early 20s.
Okay, so you're saying that when you left the host and went to the campsite, it wasn't to detain Mr. Myers?
It was to conduct an investigation and ask Mr. Myers if he would leave.
Do you need reasonable articulable suspicion to conduct an investigation?
No, you can conduct well, yeah, probably reasonable suspicion, yes. That someone's
So when I just said
crime.
that you believe, when I just said that you believed you had reasonable suspicion when you left Doug Downey to come detain Mr. Myers.
Of course, we can agree that not all auditors are good. Not all of any group anywhere is all good. That's impossible. But generally speaking, auditors have the best interest of freedom in mind for the most part. The clickbaiters and the ones that just do it, they fall off, man. If people want to watch them, people want to watch them. Doesn't mean you have to. That's the great thing about free speech in a free society. Some of the ones that aren't so great get through, but you can't have that in the police force because they carry life-ending tools and have accessibility to them and are able to end your life at a moment's notice. So the very least amount of police contact should be a thing, and it should be from an educated man, a respectable man or woman that the cop is, and is well versed in the laws, in the Constitution, how they relate to each other. Otherwise, you're just a dummy. Like this cop right here is a poster boy for what most cops are nowadays. And this is what they're hiring. This dude is probably Gen Z.
Because the only way you can do an investigation is if there's two parties. And Mr. Myers, did he consent? So in order to clarify what you said when you said you got to the campsite and conducted an investigation.
That's a good point too, as far as good or bad auditors. by good or bad, you mean they're annoying or something, or you don't like their style, but it's not that they're breaking the law. I think the only auditor we really found breaking the law was one dude stole an orange or something. And I guess not Freeman, but the dude out in Port Charlotte had something with, he's in jail for something. Other than that, it's all protest and verbal stuff we get arrested for. Unlike cops who kill 3 people a day and like 20 dogs a day or something like that. So there's no comparison between auditors and police.
Investigation. That's why I was asking you what your reasonable articulable suspicion was is prior to getting to the campsite, because in order for you to come to the campsite and conduct an investigation, you need reasonable articulable suspicion to even do that, because neither one of us consented to you being there. So I'm asking
Are you asking a
what
question? It sounds
Yeah.
like you just made a statement. Can you ask him a question, please?
Yes. Thank you. No worries. What was your reasonable suspicion to come to the campsite and then conduct an investigation?
Criminal trespass.
No, what was your reasonable suspicion that criminal trespassing was occurring?
Mr. Myers was asked to leave. He was still on the campgrounds. Upon arriving to his campsite that he was at, that was unpaid for, he was asked to leave. Stated no multiple times. He was asked to leave. At that point, showed no sign of not wanting to leave.
So are you saying that had Mr. Myers simply left, he would not have been arrested?
It could have resulted in something totally different.
Why is that?
He's wanting to leave. Camp host told him to leave. I asked him to leave. If he would have just packed, if Mr. Myers would have just said, okay, I'll leave. Or we could have sat down with the camp host, have a talk about anything that transpired and see if we can come to a resolution that may even have Mr. Myers still remain on the camp host or camp lot, and he paid for it. It could have changed the outcome of the circumstances that happened.
And what authority would you have been acting under when you let Mr. Myers leave?
State police.
All right, so 3014-1C, I don't read anywhere where it says it's negotiable. It says that you've been previously banned.
It could be negotiable through whoever's the manager, supervisor, camp host, etc. You can talk to him. I mean, I can't persuade someone, but I can ask them, hey, are you willing to let Mr. Myers stay here? He traveled this far. It's his honeymoon. He keeps his dog on a leash, respects the rules and regulations, pays the camp lot. Would you be okay with him staying? And if he said, if Mr. Myers can maintain his composure, just keeps to himself, keeps the dog on leash, yes, I'd allow him to stay. But that's not what happened.
Was Mr. Myers required to have his dog on a leash?
From with the camp host, I would say yes, because the camp host stated that the dogs did chase him.
When he says I would say yes, that means he's unsure.
We'll get to that. Trust me, we'll get to that. But is Mr. Myers required to have his dogs on a leash?
I'm
If you
unsure.
don't, legally, I'm not asking about the host. I'm asking about law.
There's no laws that come to mind.
Okay. So why would Mr. Myers need to agree to keep his dog on a leash in order to remain at the campsite?
Due to the dogs being aggressive towards the camp host.
Allegedly.
Well, in your words, allegedly. But what was given to
The janitor alleged that he attacked you. You didn't see it, so it is alleged. You didn't see it happen, so it is alleged. Someone's alleging that, not the victim of your crime here.
me, and what was the totality of circumstance and my observations, it would come to believe a reasonable person would suspect the dogs to be aggressive.
Really? What if you found out that they were trained to go to nursing homes?
Yeah, why do people hate Trump so much, man? I mean, I don't like the guy, but I don't have a deep-seated hatred like some people do.
At the time, based on the totality, the circumstance, and what was given to me, I would believe the dogs to have been aggressive.
Okay. Did you ask any of the other campers if they observed Mr. Myers' dogs being aggressive to the camp house?
So for future questions, I did not speak with any outside entities. Only after the incident, I asked some campers if I may use their phone. Other than that, I did not speak with anyone outside of the investigation, just Mr. Myers, Mr. Downey.
The investigation was talking to the janitor,
Involved parties.
and he believes that was good enough to come up and start going hands-on with these people.
So your
and pulling his firearm out.
testimony is that after speaking to Mr. Doug Downey, you concluded that Mr. Myers was criminally trespassing, his dogs were being aggressive, and you had enough information that you didn't even need to ask any of the other 50 people that were standing there around.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, we'll move on for now.
It's not what he said?
So I'm going to move to the next question, but I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. because when I previously quote unquote summarized it or made a statement, you know, it wasn't taken the way that I anticipated. So what I'm trying to say is that because I've asked you multiple times and you still haven't actually given me an answer, what the reasonable articulable suspicion you had was to go to the campsite and do a further investigation, but we'll just move on for now, okay? Okay, are you familiar with exigent circumstances?
Yes.
What are those?
Where we can act on warrantless situations, enter a residence, someone's life may be in danger. I can see them on the floor, the door's locked, enter the residence. Someone's committed a felony. Situations where you can prevent a greater outcome of something happening, medical, felony.
I'd like Trump more if he was more of a constitutionalist and less of an Israel supporter. He caused more strife over there. Don't get me wrong. Good things about him. We didn't go to war under Trump. There wasn't extended wars weren't extended. We still kept the ones in place. Gas prices were lower, whether that has something to do with him or not. What else was good? Your 401ks and stuff were doing better under him. What was bad about him? His history, his friendship with Epstein, some of the stupid stuff he says on the mic. Can't take any criticism at all. He's not a constitutionalist, first and foremost, because he said about mass shooters and stuff, for people take their guns first and then give them due process, not realizing that's not how it works. So there's my short summary of Trump. But the Democrats haven't put in. I still take Trump over Biden. I still take Trump over career criminal Hillary. But as of right now, I like Vivek. And he's not because he's a Republican, but because he's got the balls and the knowledge and the know-how and the verbiage to put things down as fact. And he's destroyed everybody. I've been following him since, I don't know, probably a year now. If you check my Facebook page, which you should join too, I've been following him since, it feels like a year, but it's probably well before anyone knew who he was. But I digress.
Something that can potentially cause a great deal of harm or danger.
What were the exigent circumstances that led you to arrest Mr. Myers without a warrant?
Resisting, refusing to leave the camp post.
Another good thing about Trump was how he called out the media for being fake news, something I've been saying since the 90s. And my friend's parents were like, that kid's crazy, you know, stop hanging out with him.
His irateness, his refusal to leave, as well as not presenting identification when asked. That was during the investigation.
All right, so I just asked you what exigent circumstances are, and you articulated some. Which of those circumstances you just articulated are exigent?
Resisting and refusing to leave, I would say.
Okay, so just so we make sure we're on the same. So I'm asking you what the exigent
He's getting nervous as hell. Look at his face.
circumstances are that led you to detain and arrest Mr. Myers without a warrant. Okay, so if your
I
answer
feel
is
you understand.
Epstein flight log might be coming out, but I don't think it's going to expose what you think as much as you think.
What exigent
They're not going to call it a client list. We need the client list.
circumstances are, and you're trying to impose a term that you possibly may not know about into a call. I would say conducting an investigation. Based on the investigation and what transpired, it led to an arrest of Mr. Myers.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm asking you, what were the exigent circumstances?
I provided you a statement. Other than that, there's no other statements that I can provide you that would
But
suffice.
you did not articulate the exigent circumstances.
Okay,
Vivek's a better choice than Trump.
I did.
Under New Mexico law, new exigent circumstances must be present for you to arrest somebody in public without a warrant for a misdemeanor. I asked you if you knew what exigent circumstances are. You said yes. You named a couple, and you named a couple that weren't. So you clearly know what they are. And now my next question is what were the exigent circumstances? You need to testify to this, okay? You're going to need to testify. What were the exigent circumstances? Specifically, articulatable, use words from the Webster's Dictionary. What were your exigent circumstances that you observed prior to grabbing Mr. Myers? Because if you're saying resisting arrest, that's too late. You needed the circumstances before that.
Okay, it was criminal trespass at that time. Refused to leave.
That's the crime, sir. That's the crime. I'm asking you what
Ask your question. Don't argue with the witness. Ask your question and move on.
Thank you. So you're not, all right. So what were the exigent, I'm going to ask you one more time and move on. What were the exigent circumstances that led you to arrest Mr. Myers without a warrant?
Criminal trespass, concealing identity, resisting, and disorderly disturbance.
Thank you. What state of New
That's right. Trump was a heavy police supporter too. That's bad.
Mexico interest were you protecting when you arrested Mr. Myers in public without a warrant in exigent circumstances?
Further escalation of the public as well as the camp host.
Further escalation of
Potential harm that can happen. A fight. Mr. Douglas was, or Mr. Downey.
Dan, I'd love to have a live conversation with you about the subject if you'd like one day. Email me your phone number.
Apologize. Say you didn't want Mr. Myers there. I didn't want a physical altercation to ensue between both parties.
did you have reason to believe that would happen?
Yes, based on the totality of circumstance, I had reasonable belief. Yes, that could have.
You had reason
happened.
to believe that Mr. Myers and Mr. Downey could get in a fight?
Possibly.
Two willing combatants.
Possibly.
Based on what?
Based on the totality of circumstance, the irate.
You know, was really good buddies with Epstein was the founder of Victoria's Secret. When it blew up and he became a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever it was, he literally signed all his assets and money over to Jeffrey Epstein. Think about that. You're worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. And for some reason, you signed control of every penny of yours, the Victoria's Secret fortune, to Jeffrey Epstein. Think about that one.
Of Mr. Myers, the demeanor of him, the tensing up, the resisting, as well as just the aggression and refusal to leave the campgrounds. I had reason to believe if I would have left and Mr. Douglas returned, there would have been some sort of physical altercation between both parties.
But you didn't observe any physical altercation between Mr. Myers and Mr. Downey?
No.
You did not take testimony from any other campers there that there was a physical altercation between Mr. Myers and Mr. Downey?
No.
You did not take statements from anyone that anyone observed Mr. Myers and Mr. Downey in a potential physical altercation?
No.
No, I'm just exasperating my narrative to make it sound like you're violent. The main thing is he allowed to be there? Does a janitor or this cop have jurisdiction on that land? Was he trespassing, or did he have everything worked out and was willing to pay for another spot? The attitude, all the other stuff they're throwing in there is just government parasite BS. He's allowed to be there. Sorry you don't like his attitude. You had a big beware of dog sign and you still came up to the campground. No one used their brain to stay in their car and try to verbally communicate that way. You have costumes, you think you have authority, and you think the best way to deal with things is to boss people around, and if they don't like it, threaten them, and if they don't like the threat, put them in a cage. That's your mentality, period.
What are you basing your statements that it's possible there could have been a physical altercation on then if you had no testimony in that direction?
I did. It was going to be Mr. Downey's test or statement that he provided me.
Which was not corroborated by anyone else, correct?
No.
Okay. So the state of New Mexico interests you were protecting when you arrested Mr. Myers in public without a warrant absent exigent circumstances were criminal trespassing?
Criminal trespassing, resisting, concealing identity, and disorderly disturbance.
What is the standard for reasonableness of an arrest under Article 2, Section 10 of the New Mexico Constitution?
I'm unsure.
Would any of this be happening if he was black? What does that have to do? Would any of what be happening? I don't understand that, buddy.
Did Mr. Myers' arrest meet that reasonableness standard?
I'm unsure if it related to what you're explaining to me. I don't know.
Do you believe that Mr. Myers' arrest was reasonable?
Yes. Yes. 100%. Yes.
Based on the exigent circumstances that you articulated?
Based off the investigation that took place, yes.
Never post a beware a dog sign. It implies that you believe your dog is dangerous. It might imply that, but that's not legally what it means. It basically means there's a dog here.
You know what the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution is?
Yes.
What does the Fourth Amendment protect against?
Illegal search and seizures, movements, your property, not going inside your residence, mobile home, your freedom to leave.
Does it talk about reasonable?
I'm unsure. I don't know the exact verbatim definition of the Fourth Amendment.
It says, okay. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizure shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or thing to be seized. But are you aware of the standard under Article 2, Section 10, which you've already stated no? Okay, we'll move on then. Do you know what US 42 section 1983 is?
No.
Do you know what the federal statute for criminal trespassing is?
No.
Did you feel threatened by Mr. Myers?
Do you know how to tie your shoes?
I felt he posed a threat. Yes.
Did you feel threatened, Officer Marino?
Oh, this is a good part where he shows some video of him saying he does not feel threatened.
No.
Yes.
Oh, you felt threatened?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna pull up some video then. Right now, you're kidnapping me. You're assaulting me. You're for what crime? Then we'll leave. Ask us to leave, and we'll leave. Yeah. Can you hear that video, Officer Marino?
Yes, I can.
All right. Go ahead and listen to this. You haven't asked us to leave. You came up and said the land manager wants us to leave. You didn't say so. You need to leave. You haven't even given me a chance to comply. You have your hands on me before you gave me a chance to comply. Call back up. Press your alarm
Look at, I didn't realize how short he was too. He's got short guy syndrome too.
and call back up. I'm gonna place your hand behind your back. You injured me. What am I being detained for? Look, I'm not gonna go round and round with you. You're gonna go round because you're gonna call your supervisor. If you're threatened, call your supervisor. I'll step back in.
I'm not threatened.
We're gonna play it again. Round and round with you. You're gonna go round because you're gonna call your supervisor. If you're threatened, call your supervisor. I'll step back in. So is your statement now different than your statement at the time?
It's a statement. It's not how one feels.
It's a statement. That's not how one feels.
Which is a
Words
statement.
and feelings are different. Words and feelings are different. Just because
I was just saying I wasn't threatened. It's a technique.
said I'm not threatened, doesn't mean I felt threatened at that moment.
I think you meant to say it the other way. So you're saying that
No,
You-
I said
you
it how
said
I said
you were
it.
not
Just because I
threatened.
said I wasn't threatened to you at that moment doesn't mean I was threatened emotionally.
so you're saying despite you saying I do not feel threatened, you're testifying now that you actually did feel threatened.
At that time I still felt threatened. Yes, just because I stated I wasn't threatened doesn't mean I felt threatened.
If I knew you were going to take it to court, I wouldn't have said that.
I
I
hate
think you don't understand
Am I
the
hearing-
difference between a
Mr.
statement
Walquist.
and the feelings.
It is I don't want to be so I'm asking you if you felt threatened. You
Felt,
you
yes.
said no.
You just answered it. Felt. You said felt. I did feel threatened. Just because I stated I wasn't threatened, I felt threatened.
So you're saying yes in the moment when you said I do not feel in that video, you actually did feel threatened.
Yes.
Why didn't you call back up?
There's comms in that area is very horrendous. There's no communication. Backup was within 10, 15 minutes behind me.
So you chose to engage in a physical altercation with somebody you felt threatened by?
Due to the totality of the circumstance and what was already
The janitor said the dog attacking him when he wasn't attacking him was a figure of speech. Not that was somebody else.
happening, there's no choice. That's what we are trained for. We work alone.
So you're saying there was no choice but for you to physically take Mr. Myers down?
At that point, that was the best option. That was not take down, but to place Mr. Myers in detainment.
The best option is to use physical force against someone who's not breaking any laws, is willing to pay for the campground and had it worked out already with the guy's space who he accidentally parked in. But then you came in, you and the janitor thought the best thing to do was make a volatile situation even worse by introducing lethal force into it, potential lethal force by pointing a gun at his dog, and then going hands-on with the guy who had the right to be there in the first place.
And place Mr. Myers in detainment for what crime?
Criminal trespass, resisting at that time.
Does the state of New Mexico consider criminal trespassing exigent circumstances for a use of force arrest in public?
Depending on the situation.
I just gave you the situation. Criminal trespassing in public, no warrant.
Are we referring to what transpired right there or referring to in general?
In general, this is the law. I'm referring to the law. I'm referring to Article 2, Section 10 of New Mexico Constitution. It addresses reasonableness. I'm asking you to testify as to what the circumstances you testified. The exigent circumstances were criminal trespassing. That's why you felt that it was an imminent threat. And so I'm asking you, does Article 2, Section 10 or New Mexico state law or criminal code or case law consider criminal trespassing in public an arrestable offense absent exigent circumstances and not requiring reasonable force?
Rephrase that into a smaller sentence that's
Okay.
direct to the point, because I feel you're adding words together to make a sentence.
Okay.
Constitutional.
Okay. So New Mexico Constitution, Article 2, Section 10, addresses the standard of reasonableness for an arrest in the state of New Mexico for a nonviolent misdemeanor in public without a warrant. Okay, so this is written somewhere. So I was wondering if you knew that off the top of your head.
Oh, by the way, where was that auditor hater? That's all you got to do. Any one of them guys, just say, come on up, come on live, let's talk about it. And they run like the wind.
Not what you just stated. I don't know that verbatim.
Okay, and you testified that you believe the arrest was reasonable.
Yes.
And you believe that you needed to immediately detain and place Mr. Myers in handcuffs because there's a threat.
Oh no, what did I do? Oh man, did I just hit the wrong button? Trying to pause it. Anyway, what was I gonna say? I just ruined everything.
To a certain extent.
I ruined everything. I was gonna make a joke and I ruined it.
I would say I am an advocate of civil rights and the U.S. Constitution.
That's
Here we
too
have the video of you going over and talking to the people. Earlier on, we went over where 30-14-1 says, the above named defendant did knowingly enter or remain at Hopewell campsite, owned and operated by the state of New Mexico, and permission had been denied to the defendant by the custodian of the lands.
Yes.
So you did an investigation and came to that conclusion?
Yes.
Prior to this moment right here when you stated you are only detained, you're not arrested?
I stated that, but yes, I did come to that conclusion.
So you believe that when you arrived at the campsite, you had probable cause to arrest Mr. Myers?
Not as soon as I arrived, but as I investigated, ultimately, yes.
As he investigated, I'm pretty sure he arrested him within, at least had his hands on him within a minute or so.
I came to that conclusion.
Aren't you required to have the reasonable suspicion to detain somebody before you detain them?
There was, yes.
Before?
Yes, there was. You were still there on the
I
campsite.
didn't ask you what it was. Time out. I didn't ask what I'm asking. That's what I'm saying. You're saying that this video we observed was actually an arrest, not a detainment.
That's
So-
a video.
so-
It did.
You what?
That's a video. It's not what.
Okay. Okay, so it's the video.
That's what happened in the video, not in real life. The video said that, but real life is different. Just like the janitor. Same mentality as the janitor.
The section of what happened. Why not let me explain everything from
We
start
will,
to
sir. But
finish?
right now I'm running the depositions and it's
Just let me explain my narrative. Everything will make sense to me and not you.
now you're under my, remember, I had to answer your question. So let's just try to keep this civil and you stick to answering the questions because now you've stated that at this moment in this video, I was under arrest for criminal trespassing. That means that when you began the encounter, the non-consensual encounter with me, you already had the probable cause to arrest me for criminal trespassing. Is that correct?
I'm unsure of what you're asking.
I don't understand legal questions. I'm a law enforcement officer. I'm not I'm not young Sheldon or anything like that.
I'm asking, do you believe at the moment pictured in that video,
Email me, johnfelix@gmail.com. I'll gladly talk to you.
you had probable cause to arrest me for criminal trespassing?
I'm not going off of that video. I'm going off the totality of the circumstances.
I'm not going off the video of what happened. The exact thing that happened that's recorded on that video, I'm not going by that. That's not real.
And what happened prior to that.
Mr. Walquist.
It seems like you don't like his answers, but his answers are
His
recorded.
answer- What's his answer?
He's not going by the video.
What's his answer to, does he believe, there's a screen share going on right now, right?
No.
Right here, because I don't need to go in your car. What am I standing up for?
What are you arresting him for?
Detained for what?
For what?
Detained.
For what?
Am I arrested or am I detained? You're detained at this point. Okay. At the point in time that you can see on that video, what was the probable cause that Officer Moreno had to arrest Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing?
Are you asking me?
Yes?
Oh, criminal trespass. Refusing to leave.
Oh, see, Officer Moreno, and we all, listen. It's a simple question.
I gave you
Originally, you
a simple
said
answer to that
this
question.
was a detainment. In the video, you say this is a detainment. In your testimony, in this moment in time, you say, actually, Mr. Myers was under arrest at that time. To arrest someone, you need probable cause. What was your probable cause to arrest Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing as he was sitting on the ground right there in handcuffs?
Refusing to leave prior to being in handcuffs.
He refused to
After
leave.
he was told that he needed to leave. After he was asked if he was going to leave, stated no. Multiple times.
That's your answer for the probable cause to arrest Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing at that moment?
At that time, yes,
Thank
as
you.
well as resisting.
We can move on to the next one. So after you placed Mr. Myers in the backseat of the car, did you do any investigation related to his criminal trespassing?
Yes. No, not at that time. No,
Yes or no?
no, not at that time. After he was placed in the backseat of my unit, that was it. I went to go reconfirm with Mr. Downey as I was leaving to speak with him on what happened and get a little bit more. Other than that, no. I didn't ask anyone. I didn't talk to anyone. Only to use someone's cell phone due to service issues.
Yeah, what did you mean by, actually, let's pull the video up. You just made me think of it by saying, all right, so let's see. So you're saying, here we go. Here we have the video of you going over and talking to the people. As you just, following up with what you just said. Here's the video of exactly what you just said. You walked over there to these people, right?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
So you had all these people there, and the original site Mr. Myers was in was directly next to them, and you didn't ask them any questions related to the possibility of Mr. Myers' behavior.
No.
Did they volunteer any statements?
Not that I remember. No.
Who are you calling on this call?
Sergeant on duty at the time.
And who was that?
I believe Sergeant Andazola. Peter Andazola.
All right, let's hear this. Some have a follow-up question.
With this guy at Hopewell at the campgrounds. So the call was at Hopewell. Yeah, I just got a little nosebleed from taking him down. So he was, hold on, let me and
Take him down.
this.
Why did you feel you needed to mute that?
It was a conversation between me and my sergeant, advising him on what happened. I can choose to mute it.
He was one of those constitutional.
I could choose to mute it. Oh, this is good too. He's one of those constitutionalists. When cops say he's one of them constitutionalists, that is said in a negative connotation, which pretty much tells the other guy he's anti-police in their lingo. They don't realize that the Constitution is the law, and they hate the fact that it prevents them from doing all the unconstitutional things that they do. So they say constitutionalists with a negative connotation on it. It's a slur. This guy's one of those constitutionalists. And when he gets called on and listen to his BS explanation.
Guy.
By the way, if you have a wrench, I'm taking all the wrenches away and reissuing them. But if you have a wrench now and you've blocked anybody, unblock them.
What is a constitutionalist guy?
It's just a generalization of a term, just a generalization of a word.
The generalization of a term? I'm asking you what you meant when you said constitutionalist guy right here. You said he's one of those
someone who's an
constitutionalists.
advocate of civil rights. And
Wanted him.
So a constitutionalist guy is somebody who is an advocate for civil rights.
that's what I'm going off of. That's my definition. Someone who's an advocate of civil rights, section in articles, someone who likes to look at laws. That's my.
Isn't that like the description of? Isn't that the oath of a cop? Read, know, and uphold, and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Isn't that what a cop is supposed to be? A constitutionalist. Instead, cops use the term constitutionalist as a slur against people who actually read, look at laws, and believe they should apply. Upside down world.
Definition or interpretation of a constitutionalist.
So is anything you just described illegal?
No, just giving them a generalization of what I observed Mr. Myers to be.
A constitutionalist guy?
Possibly, yes.
Possibly a constitutionalist guy. Possibly.
Constitutionalist guy.
Is there a negative connotation attached to that?
No, just sorry. No, there's no negative. Just someone that perceives advocate of civil rights. That's someone who likes to go around talking about civil rights or articles and sections.
Well, the people that believe in freedom and the things that is enshrined on paper that the country was founded on, all that BS, the stuff that prevents us from searching your car, searching your person, stealing your guns, taking all your money, the due process, the remaining silent, people that like those things and like to talk about them freedom things, and it's annoying, don't you? it's annoying as hell. But some people are constitutionalists, and they expect that the police swear an oath to the Constitution, should also be a constitutionalist. This is why I spaz out like this, dude. Otherwise, you just get angry at this little dweeb of a douchebag. His forehead's so big, it should be called a 9-head. Why are you so stupid, man? Take your job and be a grown man with some knowledge and learn the laws that you're supposed to enforce in the jurisdiction that you have. And every cop's basically winging it. And then you'll get them to court and they'll object and say, asking him to make legal conclusions. If he's not allowed to make legal conclusions, he should not be on the road with a gun making legal conclusions. That's why we're all here. You know them people, those people that believe they have free speech and believe they could photograph in public, those crazy constitutionalists.
Of the Constitution. If there was a negative connotation, it would have been said, but there wasn't.
Okay. So do you normally just go around calling people that?
No. I just went off of a generalization based off of the investigation and
There you go.
Okay, so what message were you attempting to convey to your supervisor by saying he was one of those constitutionalist guys?
one of those who goes around, advocates civil rights, repeats and cites definitions of the different articles of the Constitution.
Do you have information or reason to believe Mr. Myers goes around and does that prior to you meeting him?
No.
So what led you to believe that Mr. Myers was a constitutionalist guy?
During my interaction, when I arrived on scene, he multiple times started stating different section and articles of the Constitution throughout the investigation.
Which has nothing to do with police work, so I don't know how he was telling it to me.
Stated violating civil rights multiple times, which just led me to believe some sort of a constitutionalist of some sort.
So Mr. Myers was exercising his rights?
I did not say that, no.
You said that when you arrived, Mr. Myers was referring to what? The Constitution and amendments and sections and articles?
Yes, he was referring to.
In what context was he referring to those?
Refusing to, when it comes, I don't know what context. I don't know what Mr. Myers was talking about when he started stating section and articles. I wasn't aware of what he was even saying.
You weren't aware of what he was saying? Okay, so let's go.
It sounded like Greek to me. He was talking about press, religion, assembly, right to privacy. I never heard of these things. I am a cop. I am not a constitutionalist. I am a cop, not a constitutionalist. You can't be both. Not in this day and age.
Go to this video. In this video, you walk in. Here we go. We're in the hospital now. Okay. And this nurse walks up to you.
It's one of those constitutionalists.
One constitutionalist.
And you tell her.
Ring around the rosy.
It's one of those constitutionalists.
Yes.
And what was that supposed to mean in that context?
Advocate of civil rights, someone who's going to exercise or recite a lot of articles and sections of the Constitution throughout their interaction.
Somebody's going to exercise their rights.
Mm-hmm. Not in a negative way. No, not in a negative way. Just someone who's going to exercise their rights. Possibly might not even want a medical checkup.
What?
Possibly someone who's going to refuse medical attention. Other than that, that's it. There's no negative.
Possibly someone that's going to refuse medical attention because they believe in the Constitution of the United States. So they believe they're free to choose what medical procedures are done to them. Like they think they have all this weird ass freedom. They can pick what goes in their body. They think they could smoke the devil's lettuce. They believe they can drink. They believe they can go around in their cars without paying us. They're crazy people. Crazy.
Connotation regarding a constitutionalist.
So do you consider yourself a constitutionalist?
To a certain extent, I would say I am an advocate of civil rights and the U.S. Constitution. But there's no really broad definition of a constitutionalist. It was just
to a certain extent. You swore. You swore to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitutionalists. So you're like, I guess some sort of way I'm a believe in like some civil liberties and stuff, except the ones that get in the way of me doing my job and assaulting everybody. Other than that, yeah, they're great.
It's kind of what I perceive it to be. It can be anything.
So do you have a casual interest in civil rights?
I uphold it, but I don't go around
I uphold it. No, you don't.
studying it or carrying a book with me about civil rights. And
And I don't go around carrying a book and reciting. So you don't learn. That means learning. That's called learning, officer. It's like when you read or see something, it goes in your ears or in your eyes, and then it goes up in this thing that you would call a hard drive nowadays. And then the hard drive does its magic, if there's any magic in there for it to magician, if that's a verb. And then you take what's good and righteous and factual about that and you filter it out. And then it's called reciting, where you can actually take what you've learned through your eyes and ears and recite it out your mouth. You don't have to carry it around everywhere you go. It's called memory. But again, you don't recall anything. If you had a nickname, it'd be total unrecall.
Yeah.
Do you think civil rights are important? You think
I
that
do.
people should you think that people should be held accountable if they violate them, but you don't do anything to make sure you're not violating them?
I do, yes.
And what on July 1st, what did you do to ensure you were not violating any of Mr. Myers' civil rights?
Allowed him to speak freely, allowed him to invoke or whatever religion beliefs that he believed.
I allowed him to speak and worship whatever God he wanted. This is like that pageant girl who just kept saying and such. I believe people in America can't find Afghanistan on the map because as such Paraguay and as such and maps are expensive and please vote for me for Miss Universe.
Allowed him to move freely until he was ultimately placed in detainment. Allowed him to not speak or answer questions.
Unless it was about his ID, right?
At that point, he was arrested, so
he wasn't required to identify himself because he was already arrested. Is that correct?
he was required to identify himself.
Really?
Mhm.
Which state law says that you're required to identify yourself after arrest?
Concealing identity.
That
But
says
I don't know. I'm not sure what state law.
He answers and then he says he's unsure. And he always does this squint thing when he starts lying.
Concealing identity. The above named defendant concealed his identity with the intent to obstruct or hinder or interrupt a public officer in the lawful duty or performance of the exercise of his or rights under the laws of the United States. In which way did me not providing my name after I was arrested hinder your investigation into criminal trespassing?
It didn't allow me to properly identify at the time, Mr. Myers, who was being arrested for criminal trespassing, for him refusing to leave and stating he didn't want to leave, as well as when attempting to place him in detainment, he did resist arrest.
Okay, time out. You're not answering the question again. In which way, articulate the method or the way or the outcome of how did Mr. Myers refusing to provide his name after he was already arrested for criminal trespassing, how did that hinder your investigation into criminal trespassing?
Didn't allow me to properly identify the male subject, so I can communicate it with through our dispatch, so that we can see if he has any warrants, any felonies.
Was Mr. Myers already arrested when you asked him for his name?
Yes, he was.
Thank you. So Mr. Myers was not asked his name prior to being arrested for criminal trespassing?
No, he was not asked his name.
Okay. So would your statement, I'll let you give your statement. By not having Mr. Myers' name, were you still able to complete an investigation into criminal trespassing?
No, I would say no. Well, yes, I was still able to, to complete the investigation, yes. Yeah, I guess not having his name, I was still able to complete an investigation.
So you were still able to complete the investigation without Mr. Myers' name?
To a certain point, yes.
Okay. To the point he was arrested?
Yes.
So Mr. Myers was already arrested. Okay. Did Doug Downey inform you that Mr. Myers moved to a different campsite that was not reserved?
He did. He did inform me.
Did Doug Downey inform you that Mr. Myers was wearing a public landowner shirt?
Yes, he did.
Is that legal?
That was another thing that the janitor had a huge problem with, the fact that he's wearing a public landowner shirt. We're all public landowners. That's why it's called public land. It just really triggered the janitor for some reason. He had to bring it up to the dispatcher and the cop and I bet you he's still at his neighbor's house saying right now the guy had a public landowner t-shirt on. Hey, how you doing today? Good. I don't know if you know this, but this one guy had a public landowner t-shirt. Cool. I'll take a pound of salami and one of these loaves of bread. Right on. Oh, hey, mailman, how are you? Welcome. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Did you see the guy that had a public landowner t-shirt on it? I mean, he thought he was like the owner of public land. Can you believe the nerve of these people? He's probably some constitutionalist. I'm sure he was some constitutionalist thinks that he owns public land. Who does he think he is?
Legal?
No, just describing the male figure. Or
No, I
describing
mean, is
his
wearing a
purpose.
public, excuse me, I apologize. That question was vague. Is wearing a public landowner shirt legal?
You can wear anything you want.
To an extent, but yes. Did Doug Downey inform you that Mr. Myers was exercising his constitutional rights?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
I don't recall Central Park and fall. I wasn't even there. What a dress. I must confess it never happened.
We'll pull the video up.
Before we pull up the video, I apologize. Can I
Shirt Enforcement Agency.
use the restroom one more time? I drank lots of water, just got done doing something, so I do need to use the restroom. I will be right back.
I gotta go pee pee in my bum bums. Anyone else want to take a pee break? I want to find something to eat because I haven't eaten enough. I don't think I've stopped eating, but that's not the point. Okay, I don't eat because I'm hungry. I eat because I enjoy the flavor, and it's like an addictive thing. You can sit there and judge me all you want, but I'm gonna go pee and find a snack. Another snack. I know I've been snacking. You just got to point everything out. You know we're not dating, right? You know we're not together, don't you? I don't recall. All right, break time. Break time, love in the city. Gonna go boom, boom, yum, diddy, diddy. What? Don't talk about me while I'm gone either. I don't want to have to rewind the comments and put everyone in their place. I swear to God, he had a public landowner T-shirt on. It was crazy. These are really good. All right. Here we go. Anyone talking crap about me? Let's see. What up, SA Ecstasy Press? How are you? I heard John's got some foot cream he uses on his face. Say what, bro? If I knew what that meant, I might take it as an insult. I think he used it in his hair too. Looks to be some good stuff. Whoa, bro. You always tell a cop they just won't listen. LOL Nina. Ex bootlicker. I hate spell check. Epic roller. What's up, pimp? Lane Myers want my $2. Why does he want us $2? What's going on there? You didn't think I was going to check universe? All right, here we go. Oh, we still got 56 minutes, man. I sure hope it's still at 1.5 speed. Yep. Ambient mode? What does that mean? Annotations? I don't know what that means either. Subtitles? Do we want those? Put yes if you want subtitles. Okay, no subtitles. Calm down. Oh, maybe if I put it, okay, I'm gonna put it instead of auto, I'm gonna put it at 480, and that should work better. It's about to restart here. Hi, Snapface. What's going on? Zeiger weiten. Anybody else like straight lines? Someone
Yeah,
tried to
sure.
open up.
All right, thank you.
Yep, good go.
Someone tried to open up a bag at my house and just try to rip it with their hands instead of scissors. And I like snatched it out of their hand. I'm like, no, 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 no. Because everywhere in my house there's scissors. Because I like straight lines. I go, whoa, whoa, don't come in here, you jagged bagger. And he's like, oh, that sounded racist. Okay, here we go.
We're good.
He put his seatbelt on. He's good, man.
All right, back to so we were talking about the public landowner shirt. You know, you didn't. It's not illegal. So when I asked you if Doug Downey informed you that Mr. Myers was exercising his constitutional rights when he refused to go, you said you can't recall. And so now we're gonna play the we're gonna play that conversation with Mr. Downey now.
How you doing, friend?
Good, and you?
Doing all right. Got a camper in here that I don't want in here. He came in and went into a site that was already occupied, and I had to ask him to move out of it. And I went back to see what was going on, got out of my truck and started around, and his dog come running at me, and I pulled my mace, and he came out and jumped in my face, told me to get the fuck off his property. He's got a shirt with public landowner.
Yeah.
He's a little
Public. He has a shirt that says public landowner.
psycho. And he finally moved to a different site, but I asked him
So he did say I moved to another site.
to just leave because his aggression, I
Okay.
can't deal with that.
Do you have your ID?
We don't need to hear his one.
Oh, sorry.
What's the phone that works up here?
So,
Told me I'm going to learn about the First Amendment and all these amendments, and I just don't do that.
okay. Did he pay you for the night?
No, he hasn't
I think he's one of them constitutionalists.
paid nothing. And I asked him, I said, you need to leave. because with your aggression, it's not going to work out here.
Okay.
And his girlfriend started crying. Well, I can stay because I wasn't part of that. That's between you and.
In the Officer Moreno, in the United States of America, can you be guilty by association?
I guess it just depends. There's some the RICO Act
Did he say anything about the RICO Act?
that could
No, it's-
probably be targeted towards gangs and racketeering charges and gang affiliate groups or organizations. I guess if you want to,
The RICO Act is a federal offense, sir.
Yeah.
So you already testified you don't enforce those.
it depends, but no, you can't. I don't think you can be guilty by association.
Under New Mexico state law, let's make it simple for you. Under New Mexico state law, can you be guilty by association?
Mm. Without
Let me think of a way to explain this.
conducting an investigation, no.
Mr. Moreno. So that's your answer?
Yes.
What the hell's a straight liner?
All right, we'll let you go with that one then. So, Mr. Doug Downey indicated that he wanted Ms. Hendricks to leave also, right?
He said no. He just, or who's Miss Hendricks? Mr. Myers' wife?
Yes.
No, he said that it's a discussion that they both will need to have, that he just wants Mr. Myers gone.
Oh, really? Okay, let's go back then for a second here. Let's rewind real quick here. Pay close attention.
You need to leave because with your aggression, it's not going to work out here.
Okay.
And his girlfriend started crying. Well, I can stay because I wasn't part of that. That's between you and.
Yeah.
But he needs to leave.
What's he wearing?
He's wearing a T-shirt that says.
So in that, did you believe that Mr. Downey was implying that Catherine Hendricks had to leave also?
No, he was not implying that.
Did you make Catherine Hendricks leave?
I'm a straight liner. What does that mean?
I'm unsure. I think she said no. I don't think I did. I don't recall. I don't think I did.
You don't recall telling Catherine Hendricks she has to leave because the host doesn't want her there?
I don't recall.
All right, let's pull the video up.
I still don't get it.
You want my other officer to help you?
Well, there's a bike rack that I don't know how to put on.
That's what I'm saying. You're putting us in a fucked up situation. You can put the cuffs in front if you want. All right.
Wait, I just need help.
Can you help?
Don't touch the dog.
I've been looking at my face, dude. I had a dog ledge on my face. But my
This is
thing
the wrong
was-
video. Sorry.
Oh. Sorry. I get it now. My bad.
Well, we can keep it moving though while we're doing this. I'll get this pulled up. I'm going to come back to that about Miss Hendricks. Okay. So the reason we went to that video was because I asked you if Mr. Downey informed you that Mr. Myers was exercising his constitutionally protected rights. You said you couldn't remember, right?
Yes.
And now after watching that video, would you like to give a different answer?
After watching, yeah, I'll give another statement to it.
Okay. Did Doug Downey inform you that Mr. Myers was exercising his constitutional rights?
No, he did not inform of that.
Did you just watch the same video?
I did. He said he stated that Mr. Myers informed that he's going to learn about the Constitution and the First Amendment. But other than that, no, there's nothing.
But that don't mean you actually exercising them rights.
Is that what he said in the video we just watched? Or are you
Yes.
anticipating
No,
a
that's what he
future
said.
question?
No, that's what he said in that video. He didn't say anything about Mr. Myers is exercising his rights. He said Mr. Myers informed me I'm going to learn about the First Amendment and all those rights.
So that didn't make you pause and wonder why Mr. Myers would be talking about his constitutionally protected rights? Because we're gonna watch that again now. We're gonna watch that again because we seem to be, maybe the video didn't play on your screen. Maybe. Okay. He says right here.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have it memorized because it's not my regular phone. But told me I'm going to learn about the First Amendment and all these amendments, and I just don't do that anymore.
Okay. Did he pay for the night?
No, he hasn't paid nothing. And I asked him, I said, you need to leave because with your aggression, it's not going to work out here.
Okay.
And his girlfriend started crying. Well, I can stay because I wasn't part of that. That's between you and.
Yeah.
But he needs to leave.
What's he wearing?
He's wearing a T-shirt that says "Public Landowner" and shorts.
Okay.
He's at site 18.
Let me just reiterate.
Okay, so right there, he said, similar to what you stated, that Mr. Downey was going to learn about his first. He you're right. You didn't witness that conversation, so you don't realize that I told him I'm exercising him. Okay, that's not part of our interview. Okay, so all you can do is give the statement the best you did, and I'll move on from it. You will agree that you said you weren't sure. We watched it, and what we saw in the video was more related to what you stated happened. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go. You said that he didn't. He said you'll learn about it or whatever. Okay, so that's true. Did Doug Downey inform you that Mr. Myers had committed any violations of New Mexico state law?
He didn't inform me anything regarding that. He just gave me a statement.
Did his statement contain any allegations that Mr. Myers violated New Mexico state law?
Yes.
Which laws?
Criminal trespass.
Did Doug Downey inform you that Mr. Myers had committed any violations of federal law?
Nothing related federally.
Nothing related federally? Is trespassing on federal land in the state of New Mexico prosecuted by the state of New Mexico or the federal government?
By the state of New Mexico.
And what is that based on? Do
Proprietary jurisdiction,
you know what that means?
where we can enact state laws on federal land,
You can't enact them. You can enforce them.
enforce them.
Proprietary jurisdiction means that the federal government.
Are you making a statement or are you asking a question?
I'm asking a question because he seems confused.
Enlighten me. Enlighten me then.
I'm asking you if trespassing on federal land is prosecuted by the state of New Mexico.
It's being prosecuted now. Yes.
No, I mean, is it? Is that part of the criminal code?
I'm unsure. I'm unsure about the criminal code.
You're unsure of the criminal code that you arrested Mr. Myers for?
No, I'm positive and I'm aware and sure of what I arrested Mr. Myers for.
Was criminal trespassing
Yes.
on federal land, right?
On federal land, yeah.
Do you have something you can point to or direct me to that shows that the state of New Mexico retains jurisdiction for criminal trespassing on federal land?
I don't have anything to present to you on that.
Did you verify that prior to arresting Mr. Myers?
No.
What led you to believe that you had the authority to arrest Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing on federal land?
Based off the statement off of what the camp host provided me, and then the events of Mr. Myers not wanting to leave the campsite, verbally stating he wasn't going to leave.
Okay, but that's not the legal authority. I'm asking you what legal authority. What statute, what code, what section, amendment
That allows me to arrest you.
for criminal trespassing on federal land?
I'm unsure. I'm unsure what state statute or federal state statute allows me to.
He said, what federal law? He said, I'm not sure what state law. Then he said, I'm not sure what state federal law.
Arrest you on federal land.
In case you're confused, I mean, like, can you give me something like 30-, like 30-14-1C is what I'm charged with, but that doesn't cover federal land. That covers state of New Mexico land. So I'm asking you, which New Mexico law covers trespassing on federal land?
None that I'm aware of, or not any of them that come to mind.
Did you arrest Mr. Myers for trespassing on federal land?
I arrested Mr. Myers for criminal trespass. Nothing on that where it says federal land, though. I did arrest him for criminal trespass.
Was Mr. Myers, which property was Mr. Myers criminally trespassing on when you arrested him?
The campsite,
Can you name the campsite?
Hopewell Lake. It's going
And
to
who
be Hopewell
owns-
campgrounds.
Who owns, operates, and controls Hopewell Lake Campground?
U.S. Forestry Services.
Is that a division of the federal government?
I'm unsure of what division they are or who they are. I haven't had too many interactions with them.
What is your definition of proprietary jurisdiction?
Well, when you go exactly in this case,
No, I'm
it's
asking you what
barely
your definition of proprietary jurisdiction is.
enforcing state laws on federal land.
Enforcing state laws on federal land, that's what proprietary jurisdiction means?
That's not what it means, but that's my interpretation, like you asked for.
Did Mr. Myers violate state law?
Yes,
Which state law?
criminal trespass.
And how did he violate it?
Refusing his permission to be there was revoked by the camp host. Asked him multiple times if he was going to leave. He stated no. At that point, he was criminal trespassing.
Does a camp host have the authority to remove somebody for trespassing?
From my understanding, yes.
And your understanding is based on what?
Off of Mr. Downey's statement and what he advised me.
Okay, irrespective of Mr. Downey's statement, we'll take that off. Other than Mr. Downey's statement, do you have any information, or did you investigate, or were you told that you had the authority, that Doug Downey had the authority to have Mr. Myers removed? Other than Doug Downey, Do you have anybody that said that?
No.
Prior to arriving at Hopewell Lake, did you contact anybody from the United States Forest Service?
No.
Did you contact anyone from the United States Forest Service after you spoke to Doug Downey?
No.
Did Doug Downey allege that Mr. Myers destroyed any property at the campsite?
No.
Did Doug Downey allege that Mr. Myers had any weapons or illegal drugs?
No.
Did Doug Downey allege that Mr. Myers threatened anyone?
No, except for him.
So would the answer be yes?
Mm,
I see what you're saying. It could be confusing. Let me clarify. Well, I'll ask you two separate ones. Did Doug Downey allege that Mr. Myers threatened him?
Yes.
Did Doug Downey allege that Mr. Myers threatened anybody else other than Doug Downey?
No.
Did you contact anyone from the United States Forest Service after detaining Mr. Myers?
No.
Did you contact anyone from the United States Forest Service after arresting Mr. Myers?
No.
Have you spoken to anyone at the Forest Service between the time you arrested Mr. Myers and this interview?
On duty or off duty?
Bro, you know you're on camera. I mean, that's. Are you admitting that you took? Are you admitting that conversations took place off the record about this?
Not off the record about it, but there's talk, small talk. It's freedom. You can talk about investigations or events that happened during the arrest.
Is that good for the investigation to talk about it?
If they're not involved, I mean.
Okay, so let me rephrase this question because you're trying to. My goal is not to play semantics with you. Have you spoken to anyone at the Forest Service about your arrest of Mr. Myers between the time you arrested Mr. Myers and this interview?
No.
You have not contacted anyone and nobody has contacted you?
No.
But you talked about it at the water cooler?
At the water cooler.
That's
what water
you
cooler?
said off the record. When was the off the record conversation?
It was just a brief gym casual conversation. Other than that, nothing else.
I just pumping my iron. I'm like, constitutionalist. Constitutionalist.
Was it with what was the name of the officer you were speaking to?
I'm unsure of his name.
You're not sure of his name?
No.
How did he have information about this?
I don't know. Stated that it was sent to him. Other than that, I don't know how he had information or just stated that it was on YouTube.
Did you speak to Anthony Yarmarillo?
Do you know how he looks?
I'm not going to describe somebody by how they look.
I don't know. I don't know who. I didn't even speak with them regarding it. Just told them what situation. Other than that, that's it. But
well, you just said that they had it sent.
We talked. We didn't talk about it. I just told them what I had. Other than that, just continued on with the workout.
Wow, that was really confusing. We'll just move on from that because I don't.
So what was going on with him? Oh, he was a constitutionalist. Yeah, I hate them constitutionalists. They like read the laws and they cite them. I know it's crazy, bro. What are you doing after this? I don't know. I think I was gonna buy a bunch of constitutions and start a bonfire. How about you? Oh, I'm coming with you next to that warm bonfire. I can't quit you. I can't quit you.
I think you wanted. It wasn't clear what you're trying to say. Does the state of New Mexico? Do you have any documentation that shows ownership by the state of New Mexico of Hopewell Lake Campground?
I don't have any documentation.
Have you made any attempt to verify that since you've arrested Mr. Myers?
Yes.
You have attempted to verify what?
I think public landowner is doing pretty good. I don't know if he's a lawyer or not, but he's doing pretty decent. I don't know. It's hard to say, man. He did better than probably I could, honestly.
Just the jurisdiction issue, but other than that, no, that's it. Oh, I haven't. The state of Mexico has.
Has what?
Has attempted or is verifying the arrest that was made on Hopewell Lake.
The state of New Mexico? Is that represented by somebody other than you?
No, it's represented by me.
So who is this person that is attempting to figure that out?
Oh, it's me. Apologize. It's Officer Moreno.
Officer Moreno is the individual who's attempting to determine if he had the jurisdiction to arrest Mr. Myers for criminal trespassing on federal land?
Not the jurisdiction, but just more of a nothing related to the arrest, but I guess just kind of the responsibilities on attending to a Hopewell call for future calls.
And what resources or individuals or resources? What method? Like, did you look at books? Did you call people? What'd you do?
Just really speak with certain individuals.
Such as
I spoke to my LT and a sergeant, and
which
that's
sergeant?
it. Crucible Romero,
And Lieutenant.
Dominic Casados.
And during your conversation with Ms. Romero and Mr. Casados, what was the conclusion you were left with?
That I can enact, or
You're talking about young skinny kid with a weird last name or with a weird name? Is that what you're talking about? Jews murder Jesus. Nice username, bro. Jesus.
enforce state laws on Hopewell grounds.
You can so they told you that you're allowed to enforce state law on Hopewell Lake or other federal land.
Not other federal land, but on Hopewell Lake related to the call, yes.
The question was related to.
I answered your question. I said that it was related to a Hopewell. Other than that, there is no other broad spectrum of federal land or any federal land, just Hopewell
Ruh-roh, someone's triggered. What's going on here?
Lake, that I was able to enforce laws or state laws at Hopewell Lake. That is going to be my response to your question.
Are you allowed to enforce state law on federal land other than Hopewell Lake?
I'm unsure. It just depends on the area and the, I guess, the agreement between the U.S. Forestry Service there and the state police there in that area.
And what is the agreement at Hopewell Lake Campground between the Forest Service and the state police?
That I am able to go onto Hopewell Lake for a call of service and enforce state laws.
What about federal laws?
I don't know about any federal laws.
You don't know if you, okay, so is trespassing at Hopewell Lake Campground, does that fall under federal jurisdiction or state of
What happened, Gio?
New Mexico?
It's going to be the state of New Mexico.
The state of New Mexico enforces trespassing?
We do enforce trespassing, yes.
When was Mr. Myers given notice of trespassing for Hopewell Lake Campground prior to July 1st?
Just July 1st.
Is the requirement for criminal trespassing to have been previously had permission denied or revoked?
Yes, that is.
How does someone have the permission to enter public land? How does someone have their right to enter public land taken away?
Through verbal. You're not welcome here. You need to leave, causing disturbance. Or through a trespassing order that we issue out.
Is that on public land? We're referring to public land.
Yeah, it's public.
So on public land,
I'm unsure of your question. I mean, it seems like the questions are.
This is a big sticking point between government enforcers and freedom of us, the people, is this private versus public land BS. They know public buildings are public. They know you're allowed to record them, but they still enforce trust, and they use trespassing to violate your rights now. That's what they're doing with all that stuff. Most cops nowadays will tell you that if anyone calls them, regardless if it's public or private, they will just come and remove you. You don't like it? Go to the fake court with the fake judge, quasi-judicial crap, and have fun fighting it. We have endless resources. How much money do you have to fight us?
They're all related.
That's why making these videos and being an auditor and an activist is the best way, because it exposes them. You see a lot more people now doing the things, saying the things they know. They've learned the laws. They know when they have to ID. It is having an effect. It's not night and day, but they incrementally stripped us all away of our rights. We're going to have to incrementally take it back.
To one another, and they're basically the same question, is what I'm getting at these questions.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, so where we were is just spend as much energy focused on the question, okay, please. And so criminal trespass, you're saying that an individual can have their right to enter public land taken away verbally.
I'm unsure.
You're unsure? Okay, so would you answer to the more generalized question of what is
That's awesome, Gio. Put the link to that video in the description so we can see it.
required for somebody to lose access to Hopewell Lake Campground?
When the camp host asked them to leave, when there's some sort of conflict that can further escalate into a physical altercation, just like this instance between Mr. Myers and Mr. Downey, stated that he wanted Mr. Myers off the campgrounds, stated that he informed Mr. Myers he's not welcome there anymore.
Flag. Congratulations, Gio.
He's trespassing.
So it's your belief that Doug Downey, the guy who cleans the toilets at Hopewell Lake Campground, can take away somebody's right to enter Hopewell Lake Campground?
Off of what he stated, yes.
So you're saying, so let's just be clear here. Your statement is a continuation of the statement by Mr. Downey.
Excuse me?
I asked you to give your statement, and you're referring to Mr. Downey's statement.
I'm going off of the investigation.
Okay, my question was, is what's required for an individual to lose access to Hopewell Lake Campground?
I already provided you that question. I already provided you an answer to that question.
And it was verbally, right?
Yes.
Does Doug Downey verbally telling somebody they have to leave meet the due process requirement of the 14th Amendment?
I'm unsure. I'm unsure.
Are you aware that accessing public land is a First Amendment a First Amendment protected liberty interest?
I'm unsure.
Are you aware that in order to have your permission to enter Hopewell Lake Campground, you have to go in front of a federal judge?
I'm unsure.
Did you verify any of this prior to arresting Mr. Myers?
No.
Did you talk to your supervisor, Ms. Romero or Ms. Sados, about about can you arrest somebody at Hopewell Lake prior to arresting Mr. Myers?
No.
Do you believe you were acting lawfully in your duties when you detained Mr. Myers?
Yes.
And what was that based on?
It's based on lag. Gio, put the video where you got arrested or whatever in the chat so we can see what you're talking about. What kind of improvement is possible, John Westerland? What are you talking about?
I already provided you that at earlier questioning.
Okay.
He's unsure if people have the First Amendment on public property.
Did Mr. Myers knowingly enter Hopewell Lake Camp, having previously had his permission to enter revoked or denied through due process in a federal court of law?
Not in a federal court of law.
Did you make sure of that?
No, I did not.
Do you believe Mr. Myers was attempting to flee from you?
Yes, I believe he was attempting to resist some sort of
That's all right. Like I can only. Do you believe Mr. Myers was attempting to flee from you?
Yes.
What did you see? What led you to believe that Mr. Myers was attempting to flee from you?
His tensing up, him continuously attempting to back up, and just not complying or following commands that was given to him.
Let me ask that again, in a clear way. Do you believe Mr. Myers was attempting to flee from you prior to you putting your hands on him?
Yes.
And what did you observe that led you to believe prior to you putting your hands on Mr. Myers that he was a threat to flee from you?
Just the continuous movement he was making, kept walking backwards, kept walking away from me. I had to continue to walk towards him to continue to ask him to leave. Kept just creating distance and moving away from me.
And this led you to believe that Mr. Myers was attempting to flee from you?
In some sort of way, yes.
Do you believe that Mr. Myers was attempting to evade you?
No.
You do not. I'm going to read count 2 to you. Resisting, evading, or obstructing an officer. The above named defendant intentionally fled, attempted to evade, or evaded Angel Moreno, an officer with the New Mexico State Police, when the defendant knew that the officer was attempting to apprehend or arrest him. So it appears, okay, so of count 2, which of those elements was Mr. Myers? Did Mr. Myers intentionally flee, attempt to evade, or evade you?
Can you repeat the full state statute?
Count 2 was resisting, evading, or obstructing an officer. It says the above named defendant intentionally fled, attempted to evade, or evaded Angel Moreno, an officer with the New Mexico State Police, when the defendant knew that the officer was attempting to apprehend or arrest him.
Yeah.
Did Mr. Myers intentionally fled?
Not fled, no.
Did Mr. Myers attempt to evade?
Yeah.
First he said flee and he said yes. Now he said fled and he said no. First, when he asked him flee, he said yes, he was trying to flee. They said, did Mr. Myers fled? He said no, he didn't. Those are the same words, dude.
Yes, I would say evade.
Did Mr. Myers evade?
He didn't successfully evade, no.
Did Mr. Myers know that Officer Moreno was attempting to apprehend or arrest him?
Yes.
While he was evading him?
Yes.
Let's pull up the video.
What? Shawnee, Oklahoma just bans sitting or laying down on any public property, including city parks. It looks like they're trying to mess with homeless people who need to sleep, and I guess they know people can't sleep standing up. So if they make a law saying you can't sit or lay down on public property, which is unconstitutional on its face, it's going to solve the homeless problem. When that's not the fact, you're just going to put homeless people in jail. Well, I guess that's a solution for you guys because you profit off of it. But if you really want to solve the homeless problem, it would only take like 20 to 40 billion dollars, and it can be done from what I understand. So more police and more people in jail is not the answer to homelessness.
You, Officer Marino, name and badge number 434. Step back. So, hold on, put on share. Okay, so your statement is that he was attempting to evade a lawful
I've
arrest.
seen these benches. I've seen these. Oh, what did I do? I've seen the benches you're talking about where they put like round things over the top so you can't sit or lay down on them. That's disgusting what cities do. How about you just create a program or a place where homeless people can go sleep and eat? Why is that not an option? And you take donations. Why is that not an option? Pisses me off when cities do that.
Okay, we're gonna play the video of you from the time you get out of your car. Tell me when Mr. Myers knew you were attempting to arrest or detain him. Officer Marino, name and badge number 434. Step back. So, step back. Ain't no so. Name it. Call supervisor. Call supervisor.
I don't need to call a supervisor.
You needed more than a supervisor, little boy. Little piglet. Come on. Lag.
Okay.
Step back. Call
So
supervisor. Step back.
the land manager wants
Call
you out of
fucking
his.
supervisor. Turn your body cam on. Turn your body cam
So
on.
the supervisor
Land manager, which he's not.
I don't give a fuck.
of this area wants you
Get a
off the
warrant from a judge. I'm not leaving. Call your fucking supervisor, motherfucker. You just fucked with the right guy.
Okay.
Pull your fucking gun out on us again and see what happens.
I didn't pull it out on
You
you.
pulled the fucking gun out, you little pussy.
Okay, I pulled it out on your
Get the
dog.
fuck out of here.
So
I pulled my gun on your dog. And why do they have to go straight to lethal when it comes to dogs? They have all this stuff on their belt. Why do they have to go straight to lethal? Why can't they just pull out a baton? They can't even fight off a dog, dude. I'm not saying dogs aren't dangerous or whatever, but you hit them once or twice with a baton or poke them in their chest with one of them metal batons, they get the picture. But if you have no problem just turning a dog into Swiss cheese, then you're a disgusting pig.
the reason I'm coming here is because the manager wants you out of this property.
I don't give a fuck what he wants. This is my property.
Okay.
You see what
He's not the manager either.
it says?
Yeah.
I own this and you don't.
So he wants you off.
I'm not leaving.
You're not leaving?
No.
Okay.
So, are you familiar with Section 1982 of the U.S. Constitution? Sir?
No. So the
You're an attorney?
manager.
He scoffs at that and laughs. It's funny, dude. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and if somebody dares to bring it off, it's just like one of the constitutionalists thinking we still go by law.
Wants you off this land.
He's not the land manager. He's the host.
Yeah.
Call a fucking
Yeah, he's
video
the
right
manager.
now. I'm done talking.
Okay.
He's not the manager.
You approach the situation. Stop walking towards
Okay.
me. Where's the other cop? Call back up. Call
I don't-
back up.
I don't need.
We're being harassed by the police.
So you're making this worse than it needs
Oh,
to
no, you're
be.
making it worse when you pull that fucking gun out, you
Okay.
little scared shit, little prick.
I'm not gonna get bit by one of your dogs.
But
Okay.
you shouldn't walk up on us if I stop.
I'm not going to get bit by one of your dogs when there's a huge sign that says beware dog, and someone told you that a dog already attacked them. So you walked right into the same scene. And then you say, oh, I'm not going to get bit by a dog. I'll just murder the dog instead. Even though I knew there was a dog there, there's a big sign, and I was already told that the dog attacked. You're just a genius, bro. You are something else. You're like the Doogie Howser of this generation.
So
Might be detained?
Yeah.
What's the probable cause?
At that
you
point,
were trespassing. No one told you he wants you off the lot.
Trespassing?
The owner keeps lying over and over and over again. The owner, the manager, the land manager.
Sir.
should be at that point.
Call your
There's no supervisor
supervisor,
out.
sir. So right there at that point, prior to that, I had, Mr. Myers was not committing count two.
That is what Jimmy Dore said, bootlicker. John, you know the answer to homeless
Are you asking a question?
No.
billions to other countries and allowing millions of people to walk into our country and give them places to stay. Come on.
Yeah, he said, because I don't know if you heard it over the noise, he said at that point, so I was just kind of timing it. So this is when, from this point forward, you're saying?
Is when he started committing count two.
Right, that's what I'm asking you, like, when what is
At
you know,
this
I'm
point in the
asking you
video.
to clarify
You said, am I
when-
being detained? And I stated yes. At
Okay.
that point, count 2 was being committed.
Okay. Do you believe that you were lawfully detaining Mr. Myers at that time?
Yes.
Let me go back a little. Sorry. I just want to hear that.
I don't give a fuck what you want. This is my property.
Okay.
You see what this says?
Want to hear that question again.
Yeah.
I own this and you don't.
So he wants you off.
I'm not leaving.
You're not leaving?
No.
Okay.
So, are you familiar with Section 1982 of the U.S. Constitution? Sir,
No. So the
You're an attorney?
manager wants you
You're an
off this land.
he's not the land manager. He's the host.
Yeah.
Call a fucking
Yeah, he's
deal
the
right
manager.
now. I'm done.
Lag luster. Somebody put in there. That's pretty funny. Lag luster.
Okay.
You approach the situation. Stop.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, internet. I don't know if it's the internet or my computer. Oh, why?
Where's the other cop? Call back up.
I don't-
Call back up.
I don't need.
We're being harassed by the police.
So you're making this worse than it needs
Oh,
to
no, you're
be.
making it worse when you pull that fucking gun out, you
Okay.
little scared shit.
There's that rapist mentality. You're bringing this on yourself.
Little prick.
I'm not gonna get bit by one of your dogs.
They
Okay.
shouldn't walk up on us if I stop.
So
Might be detained?
Yeah.
What's the probable cause?
At that
you
point,
were trespassing. No one told you he wants you off the lot.
Trespassing?
The owner.
Yes, sir.
maybe at that point.
Call
There's
your
no
supervisor,
supervisor
sir. So right there at that point, prior to that, I had, Mr. Myers was not committing count 2.
Are you asking
prior
a
to that
question?
point, no.
Yeah, he said, because I don't know if you heard it over the noise, he said at that point, so I was just kind of timing it. So this is when, from this point forward, you're saying?
Is when he started committing count 2.
Right, that's what I'm asking you, like when what is it?
At
you know,
this
I'm
point in the
asking you
video,
to clarify
you said, am I
when,
being detained? And I stated yes. At
Okay.
that point, count 2 was being committed.
okay, do you believe that you were
And what was count 2 again?
lawfully detaining Mr. Myers at that time?
Yes.
Does count 2 require a lawful detainment in order to be charged with evading, fleeing, or attempting to evade?
Yes. According to what you just said, yes.
So your statement is it requires a valid arrest, a detainment, excuse me, a valid detainment. And your testimony is that that valid detainment began at the time in the video that we stopped it when you said, and I said, am I being detained, right?
Yes.
Is your testimony that I was not detained at any point prior to that?
No, you were detained. You weren't free to leave at all. But
When
that point,
when
that's
was
when you
Mr.
were-
Myers?
You
when-
stated that when were you aware of your detainment, and I'm telling you that's when you were aware of.
Oh, when you were aware of your detainment, but you were detained. Well, in my head, you were detained like last week. You just didn't know until I told you you were, but you were already detained. Come on, dude, really?
You're being detained, but you were
Yeah, we're
detained at the
getting-
moment I stepped
yeah,
out that
yeah.
vehicle.
Thank you for clarifying that. Now I have a follow-up question. You just testified that, to the best of your knowledge and testimony, it was at this moment in time that Mr. Myers knew you were attempting to detain or arrest him.
Yes.
And my question is, was Mr. Myers detained prior to this moment?
Yes.
For what reason?
Criminal trespass.
Okay, we're gonna back up. Now, this time I want you to tell me when this became a non-consensual detainment of Mr. Myers. Oops. Because we just confirmed that's when I was made aware that it was a non-consensual detainment. Now I'm asking you when you were aware it was a non-consensual detainment.
Elaborate non-consensual detainment.
Good evening.
That means I wasn't free to leave. That means I couldn't walk away like I did. I walked away and I'm charged with walking away. So we're clarifying all this.
Okay, go ahead.
At what point in this video that I'm about to press play on was I no longer free to leave? When did my free will end and I become detained under Terry versus Ohio?
Officer Moreno. Get that fucking dog away from me.
Whoa, man.
You walk
Who the fuck are you? Officer Marino, name and badge number. 434. Step back.
So
Step back. Ain't no so. Name it. Call supervisor. Call supervisor.
I don't need to call
Exercise my
supervisor.
Fifth Amendment right.
Okay.
Step back. Call
So-
supervisor. We don't even need the video, the volume. Just tell me when it is.
It's gonna be around this point when
So-
stated.
So right there, as I walked away, I was stopped. I was detained under the standard of Terry versus Ohio. You believe at that moment that was a reasonable, articulable suspicion to detain me?
Yes, you were detained at that
Did
point
you
when you
inform
stated
me
that
that I
you
was
weren't leaving.
detained? Did you inform me that? Did you inform Mr. Myers that he was detained at that moment?
No.
How would Mr. Myers know he was detained at that moment?
I don't know. I don't know how he would know.
Do you have a lawful duty to inform somebody when they're being detained for a non-consensual detainment under Terry versus Ohio?
You can tell someone when they're being detained, yeah.
Are you required to tell somebody when they're no longer free to go and their free will is ended?
Yes.
Did you tell Mr. Myers that he was detained and he was not free to leave?
No, not at that point.
But your statement is that Mr. Myers was detained at that point. It was just without him knowing it.
Yes.
Is that how the law works?
No.
Does Terry versus Ohio?
We don't follow the law. Why don't they just say that? We don't follow the law. We don't know it very well. And we don't follow the law. Just say it.
Require reasonable articulable suspicion to detain somebody?
Yes.
Did you verbally instruct Mr. Myers that he was no longer free to go and he was being detained for and articulate the reason?
No.
So would you testify that Mr. Myers knew at that moment he was
If he loses this case, man, because this is just blatant criminality by this cop.
detained?
Come on, we're almost done. Lagluster. He wouldn't know, you little C word. FTP, we don't need them, or cowards who think we do.
Not verbally. I would say no.
Did he know telepathically?
Possibly.
So Mr. Myers is only
He didn't know verbally, and then he asked him if he knew telepathically.
remedy for knowing he was detained was to read your mind?
I don't know. I don't know Mr. Myers' superpowers.
Now he's being a pompous ass prick. That's what he is. He thought he got himself some action. He got to throw this constitutionalist on the ground and show him who the boss in this country is, who the real sovereign is.
So the testimony, we'll keep it moving forward. So you, at this point, you believe Mr. Myers was detained. That's why you followed him around. And then when Mr. Myers asked if he was detained, that's the first time you
I'm not saying we shouldn't have police at all, but this guy's saying, one person said get rid of all the police, which I don't agree with. And this guy's saying until someone steals your car, bro. Well, the thing is, most cars are unrecovered, so that's not an argument either.
reference Mr. Myers being detained verbally, right?
Correct. Yes.
So is it fair to say that's when the detainment began?
Yes.
So is it fair to
Yes,
say that
verbally.
prior to, go ahead,
Oh, well, verbally, yeah. Yeah, he was detained right there.
right there, as in when Mr. Myers asked you if he was detained?
Yes, that's when I guess he was verbally made aware of his detainment.
But your testimony is that he was not, or that he was detained prior to that, he just wasn't aware of it.
Correct.
So did Mr. Myers have a lawful duty to restrict his movements if he didn't know he was being detained?
I'm unsure.
He's asking him if he was a free person before he told him he was detained, and he says he's unsure.
Okay, let's move up to when you did say he's being detained. Then, and you said yes, and I said, am I being detained? You said yes for trespassing.
What's the probable cause? You were trespassing. No one told you he wants you off the lot. Trespassing? Yes, sir. I'll screw either.
In that moment, I asked you what the probable cause was for detaining me, even though you only need reasonable suspicion. And your answer was that the owner doesn't want me there. Is that what you would testify today?
Based off of your statement prior to that point, you stated that you weren't leaving. You showed you were walking away, non-compliant with commands and being told to leave.
Mr. Moreno, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, Mr. Moreno, I asked you.
I don't know if you're asking what I call the cops, but if I pay the cops and I'm forced to pay them and I need them to do something I can't do on my own, like evict somebody, I have no choice but to call the cops. If you're talking to me.
And I answered what you asked me.
No, you did not, sir. I asked you. What did I ask you then?
Repeat your question then.
Exactly. I asked you at this moment, when you said I was detained, right here. Look, we'll play it again.
You were trespassing. No one told you he wants you off the lot. Trespassing? Yes, sir.
Okay. I said, what's the probable cause? You said trespassing. The owner wants you off the lot. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Does Douglas Downey own Hopewell Lake Campground?
He works for it and enforces camp host or campground rules.
And
I'm gonna give it 5 more minutes because you keep asking a lot of the same questions again. So 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna be done with Officer Moreno. And at 1 o'clock, we'll get back on with Mr. Downing.
Thank you. No worries. I was getting to the end. So my question was does Doug Downey own it? You stated that he has the property or he's the host or something. Did you verify the exact level of authority Doug Downey has?
Yeah, I asked him.
But no, you didn't ask anybody other than him, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's just get to a couple about you pulling your gun out. All right, so you arrived at the campsite. When you arrived at the campsite, did you see a beware dog sign?
Not when I.
This isn't fair either. No mask, no way. If you need a dangerous, incompetent gang member with immunity, you are mistaken. So, just to give you an example, and I wish that was the case, but it's not. Right now, if you're a landlord like my mom is, and she needs a tenant evicted, you can't just go there and evict them. You can't do it yourself. You can't physically remove them because then the incompetent gang members show up and put you in jail. They force you to use them sometimes. And if you need them for a legitimate constitutional reason and you pay them anyway, you should be able to call them and them do their job properly. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just when they go above and beyond their constitutional limits.
When I arrived.
Have you ever been bitten while on duty?
I have, yes.
Do you have post-traumatic stress disorder from that?
No.
Here we go. Is the screen sharing? Yes. All right. So did you pull your gun out before or after the dog barked at you?
After.
You pulled the gun out after the dog barked at you. Okay.
After.
Let's watch the video. You ready?
Let's watch the video.
Let me pause right there for a second. Prior to arriving at Mr. Myers' campsite, were you aware that he had dogs?
Yes.
Thank you.
So you were warned that a dog attacked somebody before you decided to park far away and walk right into where the dog can get you, so to speak.
Good evening, Officer Moreno.
Your gun is out.
Yes.
Can we agree your gun is out?
Yes, my firearm is out.
Have you heard a dog bark yet?
Yes. In my perception, yes. I saw the stimulus of the dog almost jumping out the front.
Mr. Moreno, did you hear a dog?
I got to go back a little, sorry. Yes, I heard a dog. By my perception, let me explain this to you.
Not when I arrived.
Have you ever been bitten while on duty?
I have, yes.
Do you have post-traumatic stress disorder from that?
No.
Here we go. Is the screen sharing? Yes. All right. So did you pull your gun out before or after the dog barked at you?
After.
You pulled the gun out after the dog barked at you.
Don't fight in the comments, dude. You guys aren't going to fight each other. You probably live 1,000 miles away from each other. It's never going to happen. We both believe you got giant wieners. Calm down.
Okay.
After.
Let's watch the video. You ready? Let me pause right there for a second.
I'd say he wanted to pull his gun, honestly.
Prior to arriving at Mr. Myers' campsite, were you aware that he had dogs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, Officer Moreno.
Your gun is out.
Yes.
Can we agree your gun is out?
Yes, my firearm is out.
Have you heard a dog bark yet?
Yes.
Second ago, he was saying that he doesn't know what superpowers MAGA hat guy has, Lane Myers. But he heard something that hasn't even been audioized yet. He heard something that wasn't even done happen yet. He heard a bark that didn't happen yet. And then he's going to try to cop-explain it.
In my perception, yes.
From my perception, yes. You and the janitor both have fantasies in your head that aren't realistic. This is how you go through life. You don't even see reality for what it is. You just skip right over it, create your own narrative in your head. But to me, that's like a mental condition.
I saw the stimulus of the dog almost jumping out the front.
Mr. Moreno, did you hear a dog bark prior to pulling your firearm?
He answered the
what I
question,
can-
but I think we got 3 more minutes. 3 more.
No, he didn't answer the question. He said, yes, by my perception. He didn't say, yes, I heard the dog.
Minutes. He's answered the question.
I believe I'm legally allowed 7 hours.
I'm going to cut this off in 3 minutes, and then you can file a motion with court.
Now he's acting like a pig.
That's cool. So you in your perception you heard a dog bark, but in the video you don't hear a dog bark prior. Is that correct?
I don't hear any of the sound in the video right now.
You cannot hear the sound. You pulled the gun out, and then the dog barked. Was there any reason you couldn't take a different path to the car?
That was just the path I chose to walk. That's how I chose to approach
You know
it.
what New
There's
Mexico
no-
House Bill 4 is?
I do not.
You know what qualified immunity is?
I'm unsure of it.
You know what the New Mexico Tort Claim Act is?
No.
You know what false imprisonment is?
Yes.
Do you know what false arrest is?
Yes.
You know what assault is?
Yes.
You know what battery is?
Yes.
Do you know what malicious abuse of process is?
No.
Do you know what intentional infliction of emotional stress is?
No.
Why do you believe you were justified in using force to detain Mr. Myers?
Based off the totality of the circumstance, the statement I received from Mr. Downey, statement I received from Mr. Meyer after being told that he was not welcome there and that if he was going to leave, he stated no. At that point, made the decision to place Mr. Myers in double lock hands restraints mechanism. Upon placing my hand on
Double
his
hand
wrist,
lock
Mr. Myers
restraint,
did.
double lock hand restraint system, double lock hand restraint system, double lock hand restraint system. I believe Chili calls them torture cuffs. Some people call them handcuffs, restraints, double lock hands. Why you, dude? You think by calling handcuffs by some technical spec name is gonna save your ass after all this ignorant lying and stupidity you've displayed? Double lock hand restraint. Shut up. Sounds so dumb.
Tense up, bring his arm inside, refusing to place his hands behind his back when asked to place his hands behind his back. At that point, he was resisting, didn't want to go comply with commands.
Based on you watching this video, did you search Mr. Myers prior to putting him in the car?
No.
What was the name of the officer that responded with you?
Officer Kyle Lee.
Did you ask Mr. Myers or Mrs. Hendricks if there were dogs prior to you approaching?
No.
Did you ask Mr. Myers or Ms. Hendricks to make sure their dogs were under control prior to you approaching?
No.
Did you ask Mr. Myers or Ms. Hendricks to come towards you?
No.
Where was Ms. Hendricks as you approached the vehicle?
On the passenger side of the vehicle.
Where was
Passenger
Mr.
side.
Myers?
He was in the back of the rear of the vehicle, back by the tree kind of area, lounge area.
Was Ms. Hendricks detained at any point in time?
No.
Was Ms. Hendricks made to leave the campground?
She was just told she needs to leave, or she should leave, or she should. Well, yeah, I told her to leave.
So you told Ms. Hendricks to leave, and what was her violation that required her being told to leave?
There's no violation. She didn't leave, then she didn't leave, but she was just told to leave.
But you don't have a reason why you told her to leave?
Just due to the situation and everything that transpired, she was just asked to leave. She didn't have to leave. The camp host stated that she was fine. It was just you that needed, or Mr. Myers that needed to leave the campground.
Did your supervisor, Cruzito Romero, reject your use of force report?
Yes, she did.
Did she give a reason?
Just to add more explanation on the use of force.
Have you been disciplined in any way for your actions on July 1st by anybody within the New Mexico State Police?
No, not as of right now. I'll be attending a de-escalation class.
So you were required
Why would you need a de-escalation class there, pretty boy?
to attend a de-escalation class by your supervisors?
I will be required.
When?
I'm unsure of the dates of when a class is going to be, I guess, happening. A class that's going to happen.
Do you feel you need to work on de-escalation?
I do not, but there's
Nope, I'm totally good, but keep this job, this cushy job with a pension. I'll be 50 years old, retired, cocky, have an alcohol problem by then. My 9 head will become like a 14 head. I'll be hitting on girls that don't want my old ass and my gray pubes. And then I'll ride into the sunset. Maybe I can find some action in the back alley here and then make me feel tough, for when I go home. I won't have to beat my old lady. Okay. That's it, man. I ain't doing another 3-hour live stream for a long time. You can forget that, okay? Call me Clarence Carter. Clarence Carter. Clarence Carter. Ooh, shit. Clarence Carter. He thought this would be easy. It's just a shame, dude, that I can't do what this guy did. He's got drive. He's got perseverance. Fighting for your country is a young man's game. I hate to say it, because once you have a wife and now you have another life to be responsible for, and there's limits. Whereas people who don't have wife and kids, and they're like, I'm going out there, the worst that can happen to me is I go to jail. My mom might be upset, my dad might be upset, but I don't have a wife and kids. So I'm not saying you should go to jail, and I don't say you should be arrested, but anything you can do, if you share people's links to Facebook, you just keep getting the message out about the IDs, about the civil asset forfeiture and everything else, easy for you to say, and you'll be good. And if there's a join button under your video and you're nice enough to join for 99 cents, this is kind of where the channel is going. I'm going to have people on to talk, do interviews, some reaction videos, and that's the skinny, man. I hope you guys had a good time. And that's it, man. It's time for me to eat a bowl of rice or something. See if I could find the video real quick. And it was, what the hell does it say? It says, let's go. What a dinosaur might sound like. What a dinosaur might sound like. Anyway, let's see if I can find this video. Yeah, there it is. This came on my TV one night, and this is kind of scary because I don't know if these birds were around during the dinosaur age, so to speak, but this came on the TV, man, and my new dog, my young dog, my pain in the ass dog, this is what he's doing on TV the whole time. And this is why. By the way, birds like this are scary to me because these things can really talk, and they talk out of here. They don't talk out of their mouth. It's scary, man. Okay? The only thing more scary is if the bird dressed up like a clown and did that. Now, where would it get that sound from to mimic the sound? How would it know that? Is it like next to a construction yard? Is it chilling over in Gaza? James Barnes, thanks so much, man. I don't know if you've ever heard the song called Several Species of Small Furry Animals Gathered Together in a Cave Grooving with a Pick by Pink Floyd, but I believe that's where they got the idea for this song. Let's see if I can find it. Search. Several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave grooving with a pick. That's the name of the song. All right. Oh wait, am I allowed to play this? I'll like pause it so it doesn't get whatever. But that's this. Let me move it up here a little. This is the Pink Floyd song, Several Species. Yeah. That bird was the fifth member of Pink Floyd. That's what I'm getting at with all this. All right, everybody. Everybody, much love. Thanks for staying. If you're still here, if you've been here the whole time, much love. Please consider joining the channel. Other than that, I am Audi 5,276,7 million out. Out.